Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Good evening, everyone, to the Plan Commission meeting for November 19, 2024. The first thing is to call to the order to the meeting. We have quorum. Next is approval of the minute.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any question, comment? No? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes for the October 16, 2024 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item 3 is public appearances for non-agenda items. Do we have anyone on the chamber that wishes to speak on a non-agenda item? Okay. So next we move to agenda review. Any comment, questions? Okay, moving to item 5, agenda items. So tonight we have a long night. We have a lot of things in our agenda, so we need to be brief, concise, and to the point. So we will start with the first public hearing and consideration of rezone RZ-2574-24, request by Gregory Hell, agent from David Fahey, to rezone property from RL, or Low Density Residential, to PDD-GIP, Plan Development District General Implementation Plan, to permit a development consisting of a multifamily residential facility and a proposed school on property associated with 5335 Novel Drive. So do we have anyone? We have a couple of people that want to speak. Greg Hell and David Fahey. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. I'll let Deanna do what she wants to do, and then we'll answer questions.
Okay, you don't want to say anything about this?
We're just working our way through the process.
Okay.
I mean, we started almost 2 years ago, and so this is just the next alphabet planning letters that we have to go through.
Okay. Do you want to mention anything? Only to answer question?
Like David said, this is just the GIP. We don't have a lot of detail yet. We've got a pretty good layout for the apartment, the multifamily part of the site. The school part of the site is still a placeholder until some potential user comes forward. I think the staff report hits the highlights really well. If there's any questions, I can answer them.
Thank you. So I am closing the public hearing, and next we move to the staff report.
Good evening, everyone. This is a proposed rezoning from low-density residential to PDD, GIP, or Plan Development District General Implementation Plan. The Plan Commission may recall that last year we did a minor comp plan amendment to change this to the western portion to high-density residential and the eastern portion to medium-density residential. This last August, the Plan Commission reviewed a comprehensive development plan with a layout that's very similar to what is before you this evening. I will point out that what is proposed is PDD, and there's kind of two different parts of that PDD, which you'll see in your conditions of approval. The western part is for the multifamily portion, and then the eastern part is for the institutional portion, also known as the proposed Lot 2. I'll spend a little bit more time on the western portion because, as Greg mentioned, the eastern portion is somewhat of a placeholder at this point until an actual user comes forward. So what is proposed is 115 multifamily units on the western portion. You will see that there's actually a building to the south that's 2-story townhomes, and there's a total of 24 townhomes in those 2 structures there. They'll have shared underground parking. To the northern part is 87 apartment units in a 3-story building. As we discussed a little bit earlier, this is meant to hold that corner at the roundabout. At this point, the standards for the GIP are before you, and the next step on this process would be bringing forward the SIP and then also ADR. So plan staff does recommend approval with our 9 conditions, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Okay, I am opening the questions. So I have one question. It's about the number of parking slots. You know, you say that you will have 111 underground stalls, and the rest is going to be uncovered. So my question is, do we need to have so many parking slots there?
I'm sorry, my hearing's not too good. Is that in regard to the number of parking stalls?
Yes.
Yeah. Right now, the overall ratio would be about 1.7 to 1, which is similar to what we have on the Irish Fields project to the west of this, and we found that to be a pretty good ratio for this type of development. I am hedging a little bit on this because I think I can get more parking stalls, actually structured stalls in the building that I'm currently showing. But I didn't want to come forward with more, and wind up having to reduce it later. So if we can reduce the surface parking, we would.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
When we bring the SIP forward, we'd know more about that.
Okay, thank you. Shelley.
Somewhere in your justification, you refer to various levels of affordability. I'm just curious what you anticipate.
This is intended to be market rate housing, but we think that there's, that was throughout the entire development, that we have this different types of housing. We have, this is part of the overall Highfield Reserve development. So we'll have a mixture of unit sizes here. So it's market rate, but there'll be a spread. The townhome units I would expect to be a little bit more costly rental-wise per square foot versus the garden-style apartments that are a little bit more dense.
Any other question, comment? Gabriela.
So I assume this is 1 to 3 bedroom then, or like what are the kind of different layout plans?
Yeah, we are not that far into it, but they would be 2 to 3 bedrooms in the townhomes.
Great.
Zach.
Okay. Did you have any consideration for owner-occupied for the townhomes?
It wasn't part of the model we followed on the previous project, so I guess that has not come up.
Well, would you consider it?
If it was to become a condo project, I would probably withdraw from being the architect for it. Simply from liability standpoint and having 50 unrelateds and 50 different mortgage companies coming after you for every time something leaks. Mm-hmm. It's just not something we're interested in doing anymore.
So who is going to own all of these townhomes?
This would be managed as an apartment project. It would be professionally managed, probably on-site management.
Okay. Any other comment, question? No? Okay, so all of them in favor of the rezone RZ 25?
Motion.
Oh, sorry. I am used
I'll
to.
move to approve rezone RZ-2574-24 with the 9 conditions noted by staff.
Second.
Are all in favor for this?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carry. Thank you. That will be. So next I will open a public hearing and consideration of rezone RZ-2573-24, request by Jeff Handley, agent of Winger Real Estate LLC, to rezone property from PDD-GIP from Planned Development District to General Implementation Plan to PDD-SIP from the Planned Development District to the Specific Implementation Plan to permit a commercial development on property located at the corner of Ficherona and McKee Roads. So we have a couple of people that they wish to speak, and we are going to start with Chris Dawson and Jeffrey Handley.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Jeffrey. Chris Dawson is with me as well. We're here to answer any questions.
You are answering to answer question. Okay. So, okay, I will close the public hearing and we are moving to staff report.
Yeah. Oh, I had to do this. Okay. I was just going to try to bring up the plans before. So Plan Commission has reviewed this project in a couple of different formats already. Actually in a CDP, and then also CDP, there was a CDP amendment that Plan Commission has reviewed. Of course, Plan Commission has reviewed preliminary plat, PDD GIP, and a final plat. So Plan Commission has approved the PDD, SIP, and ADR for the multifamily lot here to the north. And also this evening, we'll have an early start before you. Not sure what agenda item, but an early start to allow this project to go forward before all of the public improvements have been completed. This item before you as rezone 257324 is PDD SIP for this front area of the property for the 4 lots along McKee. This would also include the detention stormwater facilities here at the corner. So that's what's included in the PDD SIP. The 4 parcels are intended to have similar standards to the BH and BG zoning districts. You'll see those standards also in the conditions of approval. What is being proposed is the Chase Bank at the hard corner, Chick-fil-A, car wash facility, and then also McDonald's. So you'll see in your packet some of the general layouts. Staff notes that the ADRs, the architectural design reviews, will come forward at a later date with that could have some additional amendments. Particularly, staff noted exterior color and materials should be complementary, so staff will continue to work with the developers of the individual lots to sort through the architectural design of the buildings. Let's see, some other considerations in our review. Approval of the permits of any future building permits will require approval of the final plat. I missed that term, that T. So the plat is still under consideration and staff is still working through with the developer on the details of the traffic analysis. So some of those things are still kind of being worked out, but staff does recommend approval of this rezone. I do have to make one amendment to condition number 4. I noted on here PDD GIP. Actually, this item is a PDD SIP, so I would just ask for that change if Plan Commission so chose to approve number 4 should reference PDD SIP. So, happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first question, Gabriela.
I know you mentioned this in the thing, but could you just let us know why do this under PDD instead of just business zoning?
Yeah, there's a couple of different considerations. For one thing, we had hoped to have a higher level of standard of development here. And so that was one of the major considerations, and just with the difficulties and challenges of the layout of the lots. And it made sense. We knew that we were going to have to do PDD for the multifamily up here, so it made sense to just do PDD for the entire development.
Okay, and then the other thing you'd mentioned in the narrative for the memo is about, again, bringing up the traffic concerns that brought up last time. Is it typical for us to be at a PDD SIP stage without having those concerns at least somewhat resolved?
It's not unusual. Those concerns are mostly going to be within the right-of-way already dedicated at this point. Staff would not bring this forward if we believed there'd be any major changes to access to the sites or locations of the driveways. What is being still finalized is whatever changes need to be done for the infrastructure in the right-of-way that has already been identified in the final plat.
Okay, so confident that we can make this work regardless of. And then I guess one more question, I'll let the others go. In terms of the flow into these drive-through businesses, they can go down Fitchrona, turn off of McKee into Fitchrona to get in there, or they can go to a driveway at the end of the 4 units off of McKee. Is that how the flow of traffic will work?
The primary flow of traffic is going to be off of Fitchrona. This driveway on McKee will be right in, right out. There's not a median cut, and there will not be a median cut.
Okay, can you go to the Chick-fil-A? How is the flow there?
Yep. I'm not sure how. It's just taking a little time to load. It's a big drawing. Okay. I think I'm here. Okay, so we're at Chick-fil-A. So Access Drive, there will be driveways in, and this will be the drive-through at the outside, and then another driveway in.
Oh, there. Okay.
And what did you say about the McDonald's onto McKee? You can only leave
It's
there?
actually not a driveway specific to McDonald's. There's the private drive will wrap around. I can bring that back, I think. It's just... McKee is a county road. So there's going to be limited access points on a county road. This is actually a private driveway that surrounds the 4 lots. This particular driveway will be right in, right out.
Oh.
So McDonald's site will have access off of the driveway, off the private drive.
So it's going to be similar to Chick-fil-A? They're going to do that round?
Yep,
You know what I mean?
they'll be similar to that.
Okay, any other question? Okay, Shelley.
Well, I'm concerned about the parking. And I see in the memo that planning staff had wanted shared parking, which I think would that reduce the percentage of impervious ground? Oh, I assume it would. But because it doesn't work with the businesses, we're not, and I'm not sure who's driving this. I mean, if we think we wanted shared parking, are these maybe the wrong businesses? Because frankly, I don't think they're high-value businesses to have to drive through fast food restaurants. But I'd like a little more discussion about the parking, and is that something that should be more important to us?
Staff did make the recommendation.
Right, I saw
that where possible, shared parking would be welcomed. I don't feel that we can require it, but.
Well, can't we require that these, I mean, it would be, there has to be shared parking, or they'd have to find different businesses. I mean, theoretically, right?
Yes. You would be right, yes.
I mean, how much impervious space is here, and is this typical for a business? Are other business classifications?
Yes, this would be typical for other business classifications in terms of the amount of impervious surface. I can say that.
I'll be curious what council thinks about all of these the drive-through with all this impervious. But I guess my other question is the bike parking. Is this enough? That it's, I'm not sure I'm reading it right. It's a minimum of one space per 10,000 square feet. 10,000 square feet of lot, or per what?
Of building square footage.
Buildings. So for this, so we're going to have 2 long-term and 2 short-term. And is that really enough if we're thinking the neighborhood, especially the kids, might want to be riding their bikes down there? Is that, I'm not that well versed in what we need for bike parking, but I'm wondering if it's enough.
I think you bring up a fair point. Staff was just referring to our bike and ped plan specifications. Is that the right number? I think you could easily justify a higher level of bike parking.
But we can add more, isn't it? We need.
You certainly can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we could add bikes. When we come back for the architectural, we can include more bike parking.
Because I understand what Shelley mentioned, because that one is, we have, high density on the north part, and maybe there are kids coming in bicycle, and that could be unusual compared to other McDonald's or Chick-fil-A located in other areas. This one is going to be very close to a high density area, so.
4 spaces isn't enough for a family.
Yeah,
So,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to circle back on Shelley's question with the parking. So the individual parking for each business, that's a requirement from the businesses themselves? Is that?
From businesses and the zoning ordinance as well. No?
Don't do that to
we
me.
don't.
No.
We don't have parking requirement in the city of Fitchburg.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so.
We have parking standards, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, but we don't require. But then, I don't know, because some of these businesses, maybe they require some, I don't know, what is the capacity usually in this McDonald's, Chick-fil-A? People go and they want to be inside, instead of going through the drive-through.
It's very, COVID changed things so much to the double drive-through and the single drive-through, and it's really hard to predict.
Yeah, people usually don't go to McDonald's to sit inside, isn't it?
But what happens is, a lot of ordering online and pickup, so it's temporary, but you have to have enough for all those people to be able to pull in and get there, and it's very, very, last thing you want is a parking problem.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, if you think about the Culvers on Mineral Point Road, they have parking problem. So I don't think we want to have not enough either. I mean, this is off a county highway that's very busy, especially during commute times. So I think we need to make sure I understand that we don't want more than we need, but we don't want to be light on it either.
So but do we know exactly how many parking slots are in each location?
I don't have a count, a number.
Do you know exactly an average?
Yeah, so if you keep it on this page, for instance, a lot of these site plans will have an information block. And in this instance, they show 34 parking stalls and 35 seats interior.
Okay.
So almost a 1-to-1 for stalls versus interior seating. Each of the sites will have that, except the car wash does not.
So the Chick-fil-A that has, am I correct, it has 2 drive-through lanes?
Correct.
That still has 34 parking stalls?
Might have more than that. That was McDonald's, I believe. Yeah. They have a lot more seating interior.
They have 70, let's see, 70 seats inside, 16 outdoors.
For Chick-fil-A? And they still need 2 drive-throughs? I mean, I don't go to Chick-fil-A, but.
That is a primary source of their ordering, is through the drive-through.
Right, that's why I'm surprised there's that much indoor seating. And then and then therefore that calls for more of the parking.
I don't know. I'm going to say I have been in Chick-fil-A, and you go inside, and sometimes they're full. You know what I mean? All the tables are taken. So.
I just was at one an hour ago.
Yeah. So.
It's full.
So.
I have one question.
Okay, Zach. Yes.
I see on Chick-fil-A there's a walkway path designated from the sidewalk. I don't see that on the McDonald's. Is that something that's going to be added, some sort of defined walking pathway, so people aren't just running across traffic?
I've been pushing that, that we need to have a connection to McKee too. You're right, this site plan doesn't show that.
So can you explain again what is?
I've been pushing to make sure that each one of these sites also have a walkway to McKee for that connectivity.
Oh, okay.
And Zach's right. It isn't shown on McDonald's.
We can provide that. Yeah.
Yeah, the main feedback that the McDonald's group provided there was that to meet the landscaping requirements on the side yard buffers, there isn't enough space to fit both that and the walkway. So having the sidewalk that's west of the roadway there, of the private roadway there, is kind of what they were leaning on for access from McKee, and then the sidewalk that is along Jamestown Way itself on the north end of the property.
So what Chris was noting, there is a sidewalk along the private drive.
Yeah.
And then that sidewalk also connects along the private drive up to McKee at this point.
So that is an access.
No one's going to walk all the way around. They're just going to cut through.
They're going to
I
walk
just feel
through
like
the landscaping.
nothing else, having something in the driveway to say, hey, this is where pedestrians should be walking. Something.
Well, we can work with McDonald's. We can add something.
Okay, any other question, comment, Gabriela?
Yeah, there will be a lot of questions about parking at council, so I'm sure you guys already know that. But I'm curious, in terms of, as we move into the next step, which is, with the next step ADR?
Yes.
Okay, so there's potential changes to the site.
Yes, there
as we
is.
move into ADR. Okay, so we could see more bikes, parking, potentially a path from the sidewalk to McDonald's. And I guess I feel like I still don't have my question answered about, like, in terms of the number of parking stalls. It's not necessarily driven by the businesses themselves. It's more an interpretation of what.
No, I probably misspoke. I'm used to municipalities having certain requirements and then the user having their own requirement. And I mean, Chick-fil-A and these are some of the biggest in the world. They kind of know what what they need, and so it's probably more their number than anything else,
Okay.
what they require.
I'd
And
be
again,
interested-
having a parking problem is, well, they just won't go. I mean, the bottom line is if they anticipate a parking problem, if they build a store that's got a required 70 spaces and we're providing 40, and there's not cross access with a office park that's closed at night, after 5, to where you can have some of those efficiencies, they'll go to a different municipality. They can't have a parking problem. That's a big deal for them.
So that's why I'm asking, like, is it driven by the businesses? Because okay. Because I guess I would just say that if they don't want this much parking, we would welcome less parking.
Right.
If that's a desire of the business, because I don't see this as being a requirement of the
Right.
city. So if this is driven by the business's requirements, that's one thing.
Yeah.
I understand that. But if it's driven by anything else, I don't think anything is coming from the city's perspective, nor from the elected officials'
Right.
perspective. So from the council's perspective. So something to note there.
Some of the feedback that we got from these different users also had an indication that the available parking area was also dictating some of the size of the building itself, just because of their kind of formulas that they have between parking and interior accommodations. But yeah, overall, it's very business driven for their needs.
And I do have one more question.
Yes.
This stretch of road in front of these businesses, there's a bus stop, I think right about where like the car wash is. I took this bus when I was doing the week without driving and got off at that bus stop, and there is no sidewalk there. The bus stop lets off like on the grass, which is very bad because anyone that has any sort of mobility issues or is in a wheelchair, that would be a very big problem for them. So anyway, I'm curious when the sidewalk would go in as part of this process, and if there's any opportunity to put that sidewalk in sooner rather than later.
Is that shown?
So it is shown, yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
it
can
will go
work
in, but from a timing perspective, that is not as directly related to the conversations occurring between the various transportation agencies, but overall, it will be included in the public improvements part of this development that are required for each of these users to actually begin their own site development.
It'll be in May or June, which is before they'll start construction, so.
May or June of 2025?
Yep.
Prior to construction of the
Yep.
businesses? Okay, thank you.
I just have one last question.
Okay.
Was there any consideration given to putting the McDonald's and the Chick-fil-A together so that they could share parking?
You still have the same requirement for each, so you don't really gain the efficiencies. The overlap is the same time. Sometimes if you had a different use that was closed at certain times, you can do that, but no, there was not.
Okay, any other comment, question? Okay, can you move it, Camila?
I'll move to approve rezone RZ-2573-24 with the 13 conditions noted by staff with an amendment to number 4 so that it says PDD SIP.
Second.
All those in favor of the rezone RZ 2573-24 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next, I will open a public hearing on consideration of rezone RZ-2572-24, request by Brian Sweck, agent from Gary Gorman, J. and Gorman and Farm Property LLC, to rezone property from AX, is exclusive agriculture, and AT, transitional agriculture, to RL, low-density residential and small lot agriculture, to permit a single family resident on property associated with 5539 Wayland Road. So we have here Gary Gorman. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. So
it may be useful to give a little bit of background. In 1963, my uncle moved an old house from Oregon out to our family farm on a 1.4 acre parcel. And that house changed hands a number of times over the last roughly 60 years. 2 years ago, I bought it because I wanted to bring that land back into the family farm. And on further inspection of the house itself, it was really in rough shape. The mechanicals were terrible. It was just not worth saving. So we did seek a building permit to build a new house with an attached garage. On May 3 of 2023, we got a building permit to do just that. So we commenced construction of that single-family house on the same historic lot. About halfway through construction, my wife and I talked about adding to the garage to have a place to store farm equipment and carriages, because she has carriages that she competes with. So our contractor didn't think we needed a new building permit to add onto that garage. In retrospect, that was a mistake. So that garage was added. That garage then stretched over the southern boundary line of the old lot. So I wasn't particularly, I really knew that. I wasn't particularly concerned about it because I own the land to the south, and there's a state statute that allows, if the same person owns land on both sides, you could do a lot line adjustment. So I thought that would be a simple way to resolve it. You'll see from the staff report that I did object to staff's suggestion to create a 70-acre certified survey map to address that encroachment. I thought that was an extreme step to encumber 70 acres when I only needed about 30 feet of additional land on the south side of that lot. So we're here asking to comply with the staff requirement for a zoning change for the incremental component of the land that would be added to this residential parcel. And then sort of a subsidiary issue is one component of the larger farm happens to have a separate legal description for 20 acres, which under the ag zoning is supposed to be 35 acres. So I've been asked to request a rezone of that, which is just fine with me. I have no desire to develop that land that's being rezoned. I'm not adding more houses. All I'm trying to do is comply with the zoning code for this single-family house that I built that replaced the old single-family house. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. So I will close the public hearing, and we are going to staff report.
So I'll just help to orientate Plan Commission. This is Wayland Road, Fish Hatchery. The lot in question is this low-density residential lot that Gary mentioned that he has rebuilt the house. And so in order to approve that building permit, Gary is requesting a lot line adjustment with this rezone. So he is taking lands from the southern the southern and the eastern parcel. These lands here are currently in this parcel and zoned AX. This area will be rezoned RL, and then the lot to the west, he's also requesting to take a portion of that lot, and this area of that lot will be rezoned to RL. So we're rezoning this entire area to RL. And then Gary mentioned that the lot to the west is less than 35 acres. AT zoning, which is the current zoning, the minimum lot size is 35 acres. So we are rezoning this lot to AS. And so staff recommends approval with a change requested and approved by Ag and Rural. Ag and Rural requested and approved a change to condition number 4. And that new condition would read, the new lot shall conform to the standards of the RL, a low residential zoning district, and the lot to the west will conform to the standards of AS, small lot agriculture, and not create any new non-conformities. So We're just adding AS.
Ah, this is what I was looking. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We're just adding AS
Okay.
into that statement. So.
Great. Okay, any question, comments?
Maybe just quick clarifying. It's still one lot. I was just confused by all the lines, or is it going to be two separate RL lots?
No, he'll do a lot line adjustment with a deed that will shift these lands to this lot.
Okay, any other question, comments? No? Okay.
I'll move approval of rezone RZ 2572-24 with the conditions as noted by staff, with the amendment to condition 4 as approved by Ag and Rural.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the rezone 2572-24, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, next we move to the final public hearing and consideration of conditional use CU-2571-24, request by David Porto, agent for MPS2P LLC, to obtain a restaurant, drinking places, and amusement and recreational services conditional use permit to operate an event space in conjunction with a catering prep kitchen located at property associated with 5302 Anton Drive. So we have here, okay, wait a second. Okay. No, this one. We have David Porto and Michael Porto, okay, from Blue Plate. Okay, welcome. Okay, so tell us about what you're looking for.
Yes. So we got the conditional use permit to have the commercial catering kitchen in September, and are looking to have a space that primarily will be focused on hosting events for some of our corporate clients. We operate a banquet room on the southeast side of Madison in the Harley-Davidson dealership near the casino and the interstate interchange. And frequently our corporate clients have said, do you have a space that we could do our 30 or 40 person corporate training during the week over on the west side? And until October 23rd, I think, when we closed, we didn't have that space, but now we do have that space. So that's the primary objective for what the banquet room space will be.
Okay, anything else? No?
No.
So there is another person who wishes to speak, Brent Kimball, in opposition. Okay.
Yeah, if you just want to come
Over
up
there.
to the...
And then next is Rachel Bauer. She's online. Okay, so after you, it's Brent?
Yes, Brent.
Okay, this is the T. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah, okay, go
We're
ahead.
neighbors. Hey, thank you for giving me
You have 3 minutes, yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right. Thank you for giving me a quick chance to talk. I'm all for growing. I'm all for development. I'm all for that. I own the property just to the south of him, which is the self-storage facility where we have 100 tenants there that can go there 24 hours a day. And my biggest concern is obviously if there are evening events and alcohol is involved, nobody wants that next door to theirs. And I just don't want, I want some consideration to be made for the fact that our clients could be there at any point in time. And I know that you had mentioned that, mainly daytime.
You want, I can go.
Yeah, I want to see where he's located.
Yeah. Mainly daytime events, but you also did mention some nighttime events up to 11 o'clock at night. And I know that's not late, but I think 7 o'clock is late sometimes, and I think I'm getting old. But I just want to make some consideration there that there's safety, there's security. We don't have the ability to put a fence around our property because there is a shared driveway with the property to the south of us.
Self-storage.
So I get a little concerned about this, and I just wanted to take a few minutes just to voice that, if that's fair to do.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
just for Planning
yeah.
Commission, this is the Blue Plate site, and this is where the conditional use request is located. And then I believe this is your property right to the south.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next, Rachel Bauer. Rachel, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to just, weigh in a little bit here. As you know, we received a conditional use permit earlier this year to operate a banquet and event facility immediately adjacent to this property at 5264. There was a lot of conversation with our neighbors, and we made a significant effort to talk to our neighbors. We were not invited to a neighborhood meeting. In fact, we talked to Blue Plate Catering when we were going through the process because we knew they were interested in purchasing this building. We're certainly not opposed to them being there. We're looking forward to partnering with them. But we do have concerns about parking and bringing 150 guests right next to a current banquet facility that may run events at the same time. And they have a very different parking layout than we do. So we were required to make sure that we had the standard or the standards for parking for the area, not the requirement. I'm sorry, I used that word. I think you called it guidelines. And that street parking wasn't included. I'm just curious if they're going to have up to 150 guests in this space on a Friday or Saturday evening with an event going on next door. How are they managing that possible parking challenge? So I'd be interested in seeing more about what their plans are. They've provided very limited information.
Okay,
thank you for your time.
Thank you. Can you respond to that question?
Yeah, certainly. I think that ultimately it will come down to what the primary use of the space is. And for Blue Plate, our desire is not to turn this into a venue that will be focused on evening events. We have no desire for this to be a wedding venue. Had we wanted that, we would have made the space larger to attract more people. And so we really do have a focus on daytime events that will be in addition to what our primary focus is, which is that of being a commercial kitchen.
So do you have any idea how many events are you planning to hold here in this? You said that they're mostly daytime events. Huh? So I want to know, do you have any idea? Is 1-2 events per week or?
Budgeting would be a lot easier if I had the full answer to that. But I would say that if we do training, one of our corporate clients hosts Monday and Wednesday trainings for some of their regional teams. And so we'll have 35 people on Monday and 42 people on Wednesday, and they'll be there for breakfast and for lunch. Now also at the Harley-Davidson, it's technically the town of Blooming Grove, we will host 2 or 3 holiday events throughout the course of December, January, and February. But with respect to the number of events that are held, those are far and away the minority as to the number of events total.
Okay. Do you have a neighborhood meeting?
We reached out to 4 of the businesses that were in the area, and then we did reach out to the New Fountains Apartments as well, and had a time where Michael and I sat on the property for about 2 hours and welcomed people to come and ask questions.
Okay. Any other question? Comment?
Sorry.
Oh, we are still in. Okay, I want to close the public hearing. Sorry, I want to close the public hearing and then we go to a staff report. Sorry.
Okay. The applicants, as noted, we did do a conditional use permit earlier this year for a catering kitchen And the applicants have come forward with this application in order to expand the catering kitchen to allow an event space and restaurant kinds of spaces. So the applicants, let's see, I'm getting my all sorted around. The site is served by Madison Metro Route D, but there's limited on-site parking in the area. The site currently has 50 to 55 parking spaces. Staff noted that there are times when there may be limited parking on site for 150 guests, and if there was another 30 employees. And then the memo just mentions that in 2022, the property just to the north of the Loxley, the Plan Commission approved the Latino Chamber. That's not specifically for event space, but of course they hold meetings and training events. So we approved a conditional use for that property. Earlier this year, we approved Blue Sky. It was formerly Blue Sky, and now it's Loxley, which was formerly the Dry Bean, for 85 parking spaces, and then that is approved for events up to 300 people. And so this is coming forward for events up to 150 persons, and on site there's approximately 50 to 55 parking spaces. If approved, this would be in conjunction to the previously approved conditional use permit. That one does not go away. This one just would add on to that. Staff recommends approval with those 12 conditions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, questions? Shelley.
So every time an application has come here for this area, this commission has expressed concerns about lack of parking, too much traffic, and once again, we're going to add a lot of people and at night, which were concerns in prior applications. And I would add, for no benefit for the neighborhood. I mean, the Anton Drive neighborhood plan was supposed to add vibrancy to the neighborhood, and so far, I mean, it's a great business. I'm all for the catering, but I mean, there's no direct benefit to the neighborhood other than not having an empty building, and then they would have to suffer from the extra people trying to park and traffic. So I would be in favor certainly of your corporate events during the day that your current parking can handle, but at this point, I'm not in favor of approving 150-person events in the evening.
Okay. Carol?
I was just going to say, I was thinking that, 150 sounded like a lot when you have 50 parking spaces, but we also approved a 300 capacity for someone with 85, so it's basically the same ratio. So the two businesses are looking at the same parking to capacity ratio. Yes, I agree that this is a tight area for parking. There's not a lot of on-street. Most of it's used by the apartment residents. However, if we were figuring that we could make it work at 300 with 85 spaces, another 150 going into 50 spaces does sound like a challenge, but that would only be on the nights where both are having events. I would wonder if the two businesses could, have any kind of coordination between which nights and not maybe have the big events on the same night that the other one was. The applicant does note that most of their events are expected to be in the 20 to 40 person range, and I think we heard the same from the other, that even though our capacity is that high, we really don't expect to have that many events that are that large. I would wonder, and to the other point with the person that testified, are there any plans for your parking? You don't really have your parking delineated on the overhead drawing that we can see. Can you kind of just outline for us where your parking spaces would be? Are they all in the paved area that's there now? Do you plan to pave that oval in front as well? So they're all going to fit that way. Thank you. So most of your parking and your entrances are oriented towards the opposite side of the building from the warehouses that are down below. Can you describe the grade that goes between your building and the storage units that are below? Is that a likely path where someone would even go down? Because isn't it a pretty steep grade to get from your lot down to the other lot?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I would say, I think it's probably 10 feet minimum grade over about the same distance as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the trees that you see there are pretty thick during the summertime. There's a large amount of undergrowth that's there. I haven't seen it much in the winter, so I'm not quite sure, but I don't think many people would want to walk that direction. Now, it does taper off to the west, where there's the brownish grass to the west of that hunk of trees. And that's a little bit flat there, certainly right up to where the road is at. But starting right about where the trees are, it's pretty aggressive.
And you don't plan any public events. These are all private.
Yeah, these are all private events. And maybe to add a little bit of context, Blue Plate does own some liquor licenses in Madison and then in Blooming Grove. And for reference, our desire is not to have an intoxicated group of people. If we ever have any bar service, we're not serving shots. My main primary focus is to get people home safe. And I think that can be facilitated if someone has one drink or if they have 3 drinks. And then once it gets too high of a number, it becomes not a fun night for really anybody. And yes, I think that primarily that the way that our business model works is that we have great relationships with a large number of wedding venues that are in the Madison and surrounding area. And so they have staging kitchens for us to set up our catering and facilitate those weddings. And those spaces are built specifically to host weddings. So we'd kind of be a little bit cutting off our nose to spite our face in that we don't want this to be a place where we're going to host a big wedding on a Friday night or a Saturday night. That really is not the goal for what the space will be.
Do you have a design to see? Because I was imagining when you came the first time that the whole building will be, allocated to the kitchen, prep. You know what I mean? Because it's going to be like a central area for you for catering.
Yes.
I never imagined that you're going to come tonight requesting, because I want to know how big is the building for you to have 150 people in an event there, you know what I mean? So, because I have the same concern that Shelley, I was very vocal with the previous applicants about the lack of space, and I am very concerned because, 55 parking spaces for 150 or plus employees, you know what I mean? It could be that parking space is kind of like on the low end. And my other concern is also, the access to that venue, the lack of, parking space on the street, because I don't know, I drove that and there are always parking cars on both sides, so there is already, it's not parking there on the street. So yes, I have that concern about, having 150 people, on that location, while maybe at the same time we have the other, what is the name of the other business?
The Lapsley.
Okay.
The one to the north?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
So
Lapsley.
maybe they have also another event at the same time, and and their capacity is like 300 people, and they are doing wedding and all of that. So I have concern about that, to be honest with you, and also the safety at night, the resources that we need to employ, for the police perspective, if there's issue there with traffic, people intoxicated, you name it. So I am putting my mayor hat now. This is what I'm coming with, this concern. But so I don't know. I will be more in favor is, most of your activity are during the day and maybe a small gatherings, you know what I mean?
I was going to say, given that you said it was like a few holiday parties, it sounds like the mass majority of it is during the day. I would propose that we have hours of operation from 5 a.m. to, like, say, 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. I'm with Shelley. I don't agree with until 11, and I'm curious, is that going to be something that would at least provide you a way to move forward? If you had access during the day until like a 6 or 7 p.m., which excludes, obviously, later at night holiday kind of parties.
It would provide access for some of the events. It would limit, let's say that one of our corporate clients has meetings for trainings during the week, and they want to use Blue Plate as a space to host their corporate holiday party. It would prohibit that. And so I think realistically, if there are no evening events, we may look at trying to do something that would be different with the space.
Well, how does the special event permits work? I mean, if you're only talking about 1 or 2 holiday parties a year, is that when they could apply for a special event permit? I don't know how those work.
That would not be the same thing.
I know it's not the same thing, but would it be an alternative if we didn't approve? If we didn't approve the conditional use for the 150 at night, can they come to the city for a special event permit for the one holiday party a year or something they might want?
It would be cleaner to build that into this conditional use if that's how
Yeah, I don't think that's what that special event permit isn't designed to do.
Okay. That's what I'm not that familiar with it.
My understanding is that's not exactly what it's designed to do.
So building it into this one would be like limiting events after 6 p.m. to 3 a year or something like that would be the only way we could build something close to that into this?
Yeah, the Plan Commission could certainly do something like that.
I also don't want to limit their hours of operation, especially if you're coming back from events. If you're catering something elsewhere, you're coming back late. We don't want to limit your staff from moving in and out, obviously.
No. This is for this conditional
use. Just to clarify. Yes.
Yeah.
Just so that the language says special events, obviously, or whatever, or however we want to clarify that. But I don't know. I'm curious if the committee would entertain a limited number, or if 0 after 6 or 7 is what most people are leaning towards.
The problem with limited numbers, how do you enforce that?
Well, we've given that to people before, haven't we? We've had this exact same discussion of, we put something like, you can only do this many events of this amount or something like that, or of this size. And
we have recently we did limit the number of events for COPA, for their exterior events. It certainly can be done. Of course, it's difficult to keep track of it.
I think number of people is a little bit easier. Hey, there's cars overflowing all the way down the street. I'm going to go in and count heads. That's very different than who's taking count of how many events there are per year.
Sure.
That's where I'm like, I don't know how you do that. But
my other question was, am I misremembering that, didn't we ask Loxley that they had to require that all parking was happening on their lot? Wasn't that one of our stipulations for their conditional use? And I don't feel like I'm seeing that here. That basically they couldn't have it spill out onto the street.
No,
I
don't remember.
I'll have to check on that. I think we requested that they would try to do some shared parking, but I don't really know how it's feasible, but let me check.
Rachel, it's still on?
She can speak only one time.
Oh.
She's not the applicant.
Oh.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay.
Am I allowed to speak?
No. Sorry.
Okay.
Only
Just
the
checking, I
applicants.
thought you were asking.
Yeah, you have your 3 minutes, and then the applicants are the one that we can continue having a conversation.
Yeah, that was my mistake, sorry.
Right, fine.
Yeah, what we did was parking for patrons and staff must be accommodated exclusively on private property. On-street parking is not permitted. We didn't specify it had to be on their site so that they could do shared parking.
I knew there was something. I mean, I'm only asking these questions just because I both appreciate that we have all these things nearby to each other, and I also appreciate that we found a way to make it work for a nearby property. I would argue that this is asking even less
in terms of load and stipulation and type of event, all the things that we've talked about here. And so if a handful of events changes the way that the space could be used, I'm just curious if there's a way for us to accommodate that, but also understand I'm in full agreement that I don't really want to put strain on the neighborhood. I don't want to put strain on the traffic. I don't want to put strain on safety. And I think we had all of those conversations with the other institution and came to a conclusion that allowed them to do that. And so just want to make sure we're finding an equal footing here.
I think we need to be consistent.
I feel like that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But to Julie's point earlier about the overall layout, didn't we see a floor plan of this, and how much of the total building space would be?
Keep asking. He's got all the knives.
Used for this purpose.
Yeah, so I think without the plans in front of me, I would say it's close to 3,000 square feet that we've designated as venue space. And that's encompassing where people would be seated, and then there's the bar space and the casual space in front of the bar space. As we've been using like slide rules that help us understand how many people can fit in certain areas, far more people would fit in this space than what we're desiring. As David said earlier, we're not trying to make this a wedding destination. That's not the goal. With the clientele that we're working with, they already have locations that they want to go to, and we're more than happy and actually glad to go and provide catering services at different venues. And so we're not trying to squeeze everything out of the space that's there. So I think that 3,000 is about the space.
Okay, that was sort of my question was, is 150 actually within the realm of possibility? It sounds like it could be even more, so I'll shut my mouth on that one. But you might not be looking for weddings, but if you're saying you're having a corporate holiday party on a Friday or Saturday night in December, and I can't imagine that the place to the north wouldn't welcome that same kind of business. What I'm afraid of is that if you have yours starts at 6 and theirs starts at 7 and overflows into their parking lot, yes, we approved it. And I don't want to have that whole kind of mentality of, well, you came first, but it was approved with a very different business use to the north and the south. And I don't know if I would have, if what we approved previously had a same kind of use just next door to it, say that the tables were turned, that would have come into consideration. So I do think there is something to be said for the fact that we approved this one, but it was without the same kind of business right next door. So I'm a little concerned that just as neighbors, like, is this going to lead to issues? You want to talk about fire or police. If you have conflicting events, what does that look like?
I know you've said this before, but I feel like I'm not fully comprehending the type of event that you're talking about. So, like, here's what I'm hearing from you. It's like clients that you do catering for elsewhere in the city. So, like, a wedding venue, like, I don't know, any of the wedding venues, or a business that gets catering from you regularly that's like, I don't want to do a holiday party in my building. Mm-hmm. Can we do a holiday party with our, catering partners that are always, like just elsewhere? Is that kind of what the type of scenario that you're talking about? Like, how are you, I'm not quite understanding like where the business is coming from, and therefore because of that, I'm not quite understanding like what the type of event, I'm not fully comprehending what the type of events are, I guess.
That's a fair question. The space is modeled after a similar use case for what we have in the Harley-Davidson space. And so the majority of those events are, there's a gas station chain that has all of their regional managers or their building managers, and they bring them together to do a training. And they need a space to do that that's like a meeting space. And so that's a chunk of the events would be that type of a space. And then an accounting firm that we'll do catering for would say, we're looking, we've hosted our holiday party at such and such restaurant or such and such venue for the last 5 years, and we're looking for a little bit of a change of pace or slightly different scenery. Are there any other venues that you know of in the Madison area that you can cater in? And so we would say, yes, we could host your event at Blue Plate. Mm. The makeup of what this business would account for as far as Blue Plate goes, and I think the reason that we're heavily invested in trying to have this space is that we have for 32 years been an off-premise caterer, and that has been the majority of our business. So when we look at what is the budget goal for hosting these events, this is not a space that we will want to host an event in 6 nights a week, because we are doing so much other catering business in so many other spaces. So it wouldn't function well for us to try and fit as many events as we could. So as much as the ask can be, we really do mean what we say. We don't want to have 550-person events back to back. That would kill our staff over the course of a week, and we're much more invested in continuing to grow the way that we have grown. I think that the 3,000 square feet could, if we wanted to, could fit 210 people. No desire. No desire. That's not the...
But the 150 is sort of in the top range that you are.
Yeah,
like,
150 would be, there's enough seating for all of the guests that would be there. There's also enough space for them to stand up, to walk in. I think that probably everyone has been to an event in a slightly too small venue where there's literally no room to move. Mm-hmm. And if we wanted to have that, we looked at different models of, okay, what would it look like to have 250 people at a space or in a space? And we said, realistically, we need probably about 6,000 or 7,000 square feet. And we need more of the space that is in the building for our administrative offices and for our commercial kitchen and for all of our operations, dishwashing, etc. So we limited ourselves in the size of the room, knowing that we're not going to go after some of the large 300 or 400 person events that will cater at the Sylvie downtown or something like that.
So, I mean, then just to play this out, 150 would be around. So how do you anticipate dealing, like say that we approve this and you have 150 people coming for an event, where are they going to park? Yeah. How do you see it working? Because I don't see how it would work. Because if you're talking about like a work party, right? Yeah. I can see every single person coming with their individual car. Mm-hmm. For sure. With a wedding, I see like, oh, let's carpool, let's take an Uber because we're going to be drinking and we want to go home at night. Like that was something I remember talking about when we were talking about that event space. But doing an employee day event, it just seems like every single person is going to drive their personal vehicle. I don't know. That's what's in my head.
Well, can I ask you first, before you answer that, I want to know how many employees do you have, and they will need to park there?
There are a total of 32 full-time staff. Okay. For an event that's happening during the day, I'd say that on average, we have probably 15 to 18 of our full-time staff are working a shift. So we have our administrative staff, there's 8 of us total. And then we'll have some of the chefs and delivery drivers that will be in the morning. And then we'll have other staff that are coming in 2 or 3 o'clock to go out and do an event. So the odds that there are 32 people at Blue Plate, all parking, all on site, are very, very, very low. I actually can't think of any time that it happens. Is that helpful for that?
Yeah, and that one is because also you need to designate some of these employee parking, because you want your employee to have, not to, park the car 2 or 3 blocks away to find a place, you have an event, you know what I mean? Yep. Because if I had to go to work and then I had to find you have an event and I don't have a parking space, I need to park like 2 or 3 blocks away, you know what I mean? The question is, at least, you say that maybe 15, 18 employees you're going to have there, okay? So there are 55, parking slots. So I am doing the math, and I am having difficulty to comprehend how you're going to bring 150 people here when you need to allocate 15 or 18 parking spaces for your employees. You know what I mean? So it's not like I am against the business or what you want to do. I am looking at, the parking space.
How do you see it working?
This is what I said. Now I'm going to your question.
I would agree 100% if all 32 employees all had their own individual car. We have one family that's a family of 4. I live 2 miles away. I don't really drive a lot to work, so there's 5 fewer cars already. Michael lives 0.8 miles away. There are a number of people, we have 4 to 6 that either Uber or take buses to work, and being on the bus line will actually allow more people to come to work on the bus. Where we are, on the west side, there's not a lot of good bus activity yet. We're close to like the depot that's on Junction, but it's had its issues, and so it hasn't been really reliable. So there aren't 32 employees with 32 vehicles that are going to be parking on site. And then I would have no issue at all communicating with any client that would want to come in and say, here's the reality of what the situation is with parking. If that's something that's a deal breaker for you, great. We're happy to work within the bounds of any and all parking by guests would need to be on site. That would be more than understandable. And over the last few years, especially for like the corporate holiday parties, something that has come into play a lot has been that at the end of the evening, the company will pay for any Uber rides home so that the employees are not driving their vehicles, encouraging them to be responsible with what they're doing. So with 150 people coming, I wouldn't envision that there would be 150 cars that would try and fit in the parking lot.
You see any of these events kind of busing people in from other locations as well? Like, do you have, like, I think of like the hotel shuttles or whatever, like bringing waves of guests and then potentially either taking them out or having them leave via lift or something like that?
They very well could. That's really common for weddings. It's not necessarily really common for the corporate thing. And so I don't think that wasn't a huge factor in what we were planning for because, again, not planning for it to be a wedding venue.
But if we put a similar stipulation as the Loxley of you'd have to commit that all parking would be done on private property. I mean, to the point of what we allowed them to do, we clearly opened up the idea that if they got agreements from other nearby tenants, they could work in those bounds, right? It would have to be on private property. To the spillover conversation before, that's not going to happen unless you have an agreement with somebody, right? I mean, that's trespassing. You can't just park on somebody else's lot unless they've told you that you can do that. So I think if we put a similar stipulation, then we're asking you to put it on private lots along that street kind of thing. So.
Yeah, no issues, and I want to say we're interested in being good neighbors. So like David mentioned, I live right down the street, maybe like 7 or 8, 12 blocks away, something like that. But we want to maintain good relationships with the other businesses there. We want to maintain good relationships with the people that are living across the street in the fountains as well. That's very important to us. So we wouldn't be looking to make conflict. We would actually be looking to make friends and play nice. That's important to us.
But how do you stop somebody coming to your place from parking on the street? I mean, we can say you can only provide parking in your own lot, but how do you prevent participants from parking wherever they want? I mean, on the street. I still think you're asking for an influx of people that may not be able to be accommodated, and I absolutely trust that you have the best of intentions. And I think it's important to be consistent, but also there's a point at which there's a tipping point, and so you start being a little inconsistent. I mean, as Stephen was saying, I mean, we already are flooding the area, and I don't know that we have to agree to flood it some more just so that we can be consistent. I'm troubled by this. Now, you refer to the 150 events as like holiday parties. If we were going to put a limit onto how many you could have, and I understand that might be hard to monitor, but I think you're good corporate citizens, and if we catch you violating your conditional use, you lose it, so I trust that you would abide by it. Realistically, what are you looking for? You keep referring to holiday parties. Is that true? Because then that's a handful a year.
Yeah, I would say that holiday parties, it's sort of the time of year that we're in, so my brain goes there. Maybe there is a client that wants to host an open house. One of the things that I shared with our team was if we're having a couple that's hosting a wedding in the area, and they want to look for somewhere to do their rehearsal dinner, and they have 30 or 40 people. That's a great event for Blue Plate to take. We love to work with the same people multiple times. It makes it easier on our end from a business perspective.
Right. I think we have no concern with 30 to 40 people. Our concern is 100 to 150 people at night.
Yeah. I think part of the difficulty is that as caterers, we oftentimes show up and we're promised what something's going to look like, and we just adjust on the fly. And so I think part of this discussion is you tell us what the rules are, and then we want to play by those rules. And so if you define those strictly, then we want to honor those and play by those strict rules. And if you're a little more loose, then that's okay. And part of the difficulty is that a large nature of our business is that it's unknown, in that we know the clients that we work with now, like David mentioned, that are at the Harley-Davidson, and we know some of the other ones who are asking for this or for that at a certain location. But that doesn't mean that we don't know what's going to come, or we do know what's going to come in 2 weeks or in 2 years. And so we want there to be, in the interest of this space, obviously we're dedicating 3,000-ish square feet to it. We want there to be the opportunity that if there's something outside of what we're thinking, that we can utilize it for that. But if that creates issues with what capacity is for parking, then we want to respect those and to stay away from whatever it is that you have us abide by. We're not interested in pressing the line. We just want to step back from the line and be very clear about that. But part of it is we don't quite know. I mean, we do catering for a living. And so we're here to see what you can give us for feedback, and that'll give us an opportunity to have more discussions internally and clarify what we can and what we can't use this space for. But I would say those two things probably dictate a lot of why we're trying to be honest, but there are dynamics about what we are communicating and how we run our business, that it makes it difficult to know the things that we don't know.
Okay, so I think we need to start wrapping up this discussion. And so I don't know, from what I hear, I don't think that people are going to be in favor, approving this tonight. So my question is, do you want to can we compromise, and we can compromise in the hours of operation or the number of events?
And require parking on site. Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like we want you to be able to succeed, so we don't want to put conditions in place that are impossible for you to use the space. But we're not comfortable with what's written. I guess that's what I'm hearing too. It's like we have to find a way to compromise a little bit, and I don't know if that's moving the hours of operation a little bit earlier, if it's reducing the number of people, if it's limiting parking on site, if it's limiting the number of events. All of those things are possibilities for how we put some more stipulations on this.
Can I ask, is there, in the committee's mind, is there a difference between an event on a Tuesday evening, an event on a Friday or a Saturday evening?
Yes, because I think the other business beside you are planning more to do event on the weekends. You know what I mean? So, the other question is, do you want to think about this, and maybe we can postpone, and then you come back with a better a compromise? That one could be another option on the table. Because I don't want tonight to be this. If I call the vote, I will say that it's going to be rejected. Okay. This is what I sense. You know what I mean? So, so I want, because I really want you to do your business of how we can work together in a compromise. So I don't know. That one, I am putting all this on the table. So before I call the vote.
Think about it. Yeah.
What's your preference? Do you want to try to come to some type of consensus on moving some of the kind of four variables that we talked through, or do you want to think on that, talk with your committee, and come back later?
We can think about it and come back. Would it work to chat through on the December agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deanna is okay? Yes. Okay.
I think it would be best at this point to just do a postpone to the December meeting, and we'll work with the team.
Thank you for offering that opportunity.
Okay.
I'll move to postpone conditional use CU 2571-24.
Second.
All those in favor to postpone, say aye.
Aye.
The motion is postponed to December. What is December? What?
17.
17.
Thank you.
Okay. Super. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so next we are on item E. Okay. Someone? It's not public hearing. It's an ADR for German Auto and Expansion, request by James McFadden, agent for German Auto House LLC, to obtain an architectural design review approval for a proposed expansion to an existing car sale and service facility on property associated with 3000 Rimrock Road. Okay, so we have here, how many people?
Just two. And they're just
okay.
up front.
So we have, what is Jake?
James McFadden.
James, okay.
And Giovanni.
And then, I cannot, what is your name? I cannot.
Giovanni, J-A-V.
Giovanni?
Yep.
Okay, Giovanni Javada?
Javada,
yes.
Javada, okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what we are planning for is, well, Javon has owned this property for how many years now?
5 years.
5 years now. And he's basically working out of what was originally a gas station with a single service bay, which is completely inadequate to take care of basically servicing the cars that he's preparing for sale. And then also servicing the cars that he has sold for the returning, basically people coming back for warranty and other works. So what we're looking to do here is on the north end of the property, put a 4,000 square foot, 5-bay service garage. It's fairly simple. Again, it'll be very relatively small area for for the customer to come in and drop off the car. There'll be some adequate storage either above or below grade. But basically the big thing is provide 5 service bays so he could actually service the vehicles that he will or has sold. So that's what we're looking to do.
Okay. Do you want to add anything else, Giovanni? No?
I think the year that we purchased that was like 10 years ago. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, there's one additional thing. Yeah. There's one, because of the odd nature of this property line on the western edge, we're building new building perpendicular to the north property line, parallel with Rimrock. But we're infringing into the setback area. There's a triangular infringement into the setback area. At its widest point, it's about 6.5 feet. Then it disappears. And we would like the approval to allow us to encroach into that setback area.
Okay, thank you. Diana.
Sure. So the property is home to the current German Auto, and at the corner of Rimrock Road and Oregon Road, it's kind of at that corner point. A very visible site. The facility is intended to be primarily a repair facility, but as you can see, it will be a 2-story facility with storage and office space on the second floor. And so the applicants, as noted, are requesting relief from the side street setback. Under the current zoning district, which is BH, there is a 20-foot side street setback. And so Clausen is a street here that they're requesting the side street setback of 10 feet. So the conditions are, you'll see in condition number 5, they're requesting a 10-foot setback instead of the 20-foot that is permitted. And actually, both our business highway and our business general zoning districts allow Plan Commission to make some exceptions on these setbacks. So the proposal also provides you with a landscape plan. I should note, part of the reason of actually the building is cited very carefully for the commitment to protect a large existing tree. There is a large existing tree right here.
Thank you.
Yep, and you can see it here too. And so the building is cited to maximize its potential, but also protect that existing tree. Staff does recommend approval with 16 conditions.
Okay, thank you. Questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Appreciate the work on the tree and love to see you expand, but I guess one of the conditions is dark sky compliant lighting, but there's 3 very large bright floodlights on the back side facing Rimrock. So unless we make all of the lights on the existing property dark sky as well, there's really no reason to have it. So I don't know if that's something that we can change, but
So the lighting on the Rimrock side of the proposed building is
on the existing building.
Oh, on the
has 3 very large floodlights that are very bright.
Yeah.
We did turn them off this year. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
So like they were like facing higher, right? Like
Yeah,
this.
when I was
They were
driving
just-
home last night, they were
Push them
facing
down.
basically
Oh.
right at Rimrock.
Okay. I mean, we can
Yeah,
pull them
something.
down.
It's just-
No problem.
It caught my eye. I was like, I think that's on the agenda tomorrow, so I thought I'd bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair. If there's something that you could work,
Of
that
course,
we can
yes.
work together
Yes.
to
Yeah.
address the lighting. The city does have a dark sky requirement, so.
Got it.
Any other comments, questions?
Thanks for protecting the tree.
Yeah, I agree.
That's rare. We don't see that very often, so.
Can I just clarify that the setback exemption is for parking lot to get close to the road?
Corner of the building.
The building.
Corner of the building?
It's this distance
Oh,
right
in that little
here.
kind of pinch point there, okay.
Yeah. The property line, the road, that's the approximate location of the pavement line, but the property line itself is like this. And so a 20-foot setback just wasn't doable.
So up until the curved line is all still grass or buffer right there at that point, and that's just the meted property line that we're seeing?
Yeah, you can see right here is where the approximate pavement for Glosson is, and then you can see how the property line takes that jog in here.
Thank you.
What is behind that? Oh, it's a park, isn't it?
That is the city park.
Oh, I didn't know that we have another city park. Okay. Okay, any other question, comment?
I'll move approval of the ADR for German auto expansion with the 16 conditions as noted by staff.
Second.
All those in favor of the ADR, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Okay, thank you. So next, F, minor PDD inspiration CIP request by Fred DeVillers, agent for IP Holdings LLC, to obtain a minor PDD modification in order to reduce the number of allowed dwelling units from 60 to 57 on property located off East Sherwood Parkway. So Fred is here, so welcome back.
How are you?
Okay, what is this, Fred?
I'm just here to answer any
Oh,
questions.
you ask a question? Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going
Pretty
directly to
straightforward.
Diana? Okay, okay.
Okay. I think you all know Fred well, and this is his project, Inspiration at Swan Creek. And originally, the PDD, the GIP and SIP was approved for 60 units. And Fred is coming forward to reduce the number of units by 3 in order to better accommodate and provide a little bit more flexibility for some of the builders with slightly larger lots. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Fred?
No?
Sure, the infrastructure's already in the ground, and
I
we're
saw
paving
it.
on Friday.
Oh, you are? Are you going to get it Friday?
If Mother Nature allows it.
We all need to say a little prayer for Fred's pavement.
Have you sold some of the lot already?
You can't sell
You
them until they're
can't?
improved.
But you have any
Yes.
interest people? Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Okay.
So staff recommends approval of this minor PDD.
Okay.
We don't generally have conditions with those, but happy to answer any questions here.
Okay, any question, comment? No? Okay, I need a motion.
I'll move approval for minor PDD modification for Inspiration SIP.
Second.
All those in favor of the minor PDD adjustment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. Thank you, Fred.
Welcome, thank you.
So this is the last time that we are seeing you?
Well, Deanna, would you like me to stick around for the resolution for the easement?
Oh.
If you would like to.
No, I've got work to do.
Can we amend the agenda to make that now?
It's just for the public sanitary sewer and water main easement.
You're free to go home. We've never had an
Yeah.
applicant be here
Yeah,
for that,
no,
ever,
yeah.
ever.
Yeah,
I was gonna
so
say
no.
Tracy Foss has pretty much approved it.
Okay, so,
Great, thank you.
okay, thank you. So next, we're moving to item G, early issuance, how do you say?
Issuance, yeah.
Of permit for the Jamestown Apartment CIP, request by Corey Frank, agent for Craig Frank, to obtain an early issuance of permit for the Jamestown Quarry Apartment on property associated with 2975 Capec Road. So, okay, Corey, you're here again.
Corey Frank here for CF Investments. So this is for the previously approved SIP on this lot. We're looking for an early start per Fitchburg requirements for a project like this. So this is to begin construction prior to the public improvements associated with the approval of this site. With this, it's pretty straightforward. Street is already there. Basically, the sidewalk along Fitch-Rona will be turning into a bike path. There's 2 extra sewer laterals to the site that we'll be abandoning, and there are 2. If you've driven by there, you'll notice they put in a couple concrete driveway entrance aprons, kind of just guessing for a future development. It's not in the location of our aprons, so we'll be removing those and adding our 2 new aprons. So these are items that typically aren't done prior to the start of construction, and we're almost into winter here, so it wouldn't be something we'd be wanting to do right now anyways. So.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So Plan Commission has issued these early starts for major construction in the past for these very large projects that can proceed with, this means that it can proceed with a building permit prior to acceptance of the entire public improvements. And so, of course, this is part of the site that part of the project that we looked at with the SIP, with the McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. This is all kind of tied together. And actually, your last item this evening, item number R, is approving the subdivision improvement agreement for this overall project. And so what the early start will do is allow Corey to get started on his building before all of the infrastructure required under the subdivision improvement agreement for Jamestown Quarry is completed. So, of course, staff recommends approval, and there's some just details that are standard details in the conditions for these major construction early starts. I'm happy to answer any questions if this is getting kind of confusing.
I think there are a couple of requirements in order for us to do this, and this had to be, for what I remember from previous one. You had to have water on the site?
Yep, you do. There has to be water to the site. And there is water to the site.
And then
there has to be
access?
Maintain and provide temporary roads. Of course, Fitch-Rona Road is already in, and then all the fees have to be paid.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm sure we can take care of those items.
Okay, Gabriel?
When do you anticipate, assuming this passes, when would you be able to get started?
So we have quite a bit of earthwork to do first with, I don't know if, I would assume most of you have driven by. It's a lot of extra material on that site right now. So we're hoping to get started with grading fairly soon here, potentially early December, pending subdivision improvement agreement approval next week, so.
Great.
Any other question, comment?
I'll move approval of the early issuance of permits for Jamestown Apartments SIP
Second.
with the conditions as noted by staff. 11 of them.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we move to H, is a pre-application for the Fitchburg Police Station. It request by Paul Woodrow, agent for the City of Fitchburg, to obtain pre-application review for the proposed City of Fitchburg Police Services Facility on property associated with 5550 Research Park Drive. So we have Paul, and who else? We have another person, Elizabeth, and then we have Ned here. Okay, so, Paul, it's all yours.
All right, I'm in the interest of time, I'm going to turn over to Beth and she'll go through a real brief presentation on where the project was and where we're at right now.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hi, Beth Sorney with FGM Architects. We're here to give you an update on the current Fitchburg Police Services facilities that we presented last year. The building has had some revisions since you last saw it. Currently, we're at about 55,000 square foot total, a reduction of about 25,000 square feet from the last presentation. We now have a 2-story building, 1 story at street level, 1 level below grade with a walkout basement to the northwest. The exterior is still similar. We're proposing a mix of masonry, glass, and metal panel construction. And again, to complement sort of the surrounding city hall and library buildings nearby. And yeah, up on the screen, we can see those are all the proposed elevations with a lot of masonry and buff colored brick to really try and blend in with the surroundings.
That's it? Okay. Do you have anything to add or no?
No, I will just say this is a pre-application, and this is, staff does not make a formal recommendation, and Plan Commission does not take a vote on anything here. This is just an opportunity for Plan Commission to review the proposed plans and provide any comments, suggestions, or ask any important questions.
Yes, I want to, Paul and the city administrator and the chief, we meet monthly to discuss this facility. And one of the things that we discussed in the last meeting was, one of my concerns was about the fence. Can you explain, Paul, why do we need to add the fence? And, because I was concerned about how it's going to look like, from Fish Hatchery Road, the fence. But can you explain a little bit more about why do we need a fence? Yeah.
The fence is to provide security for the staff that work out of that facility. I guess any further comments about that would be directed to Ned. That's why he's attending tonight. We are looking to landscape around that fence, to screen the fence, if you will, so it's not so obtrusive. And then on the side that are visible, both on Lacey Road and Research Park Drive, we're looking more of a picket style, the more upgraded look type of fencing, and then on the back of it, like a 6-foot chain link fence. But the idea is to put some, landscaping around it so it's not quite so visible and obtrusive. Now, Ned, I know is an audience here. If he's got any particular comments he wants to add to that.
Okay.
I can just add some additional context there for the fence. So the fence is a security feature that fits contemporary standards for police facilities for a number of reasons. One, for staff security, personal vehicles that are parked out there overnight. It's a desire that we'd like to have here. We've had an increase in activity of individuals like First Amendment auditors, other individuals that are coming in may wish to vandalize vehicles. So that's a safety feature. The other component is when we are bringing people in our custody into the Sallyport area, in the event that for whatever reason we weren't able to be in the Sallyport area, that fence provides another layer of security for people that we have detained and in our custody from getting out into the public that we obviously wouldn't want to have happen.
Yes, the other thing that we discussed in the last meeting, Paul, was the parking in front of the, the facility. Is something that you're planning to modify.
That's correct. So the parking that is shown in the drawing with the plan commission shows a small 8-lot stall along Research Park Drive. After discussions with the mayor and city administrator, we directed FGM to look at, instead of that parking lot, putting in on-street parking, probably angled parking on the west side of Research Park Drive. And we can get the same number of stalls in there, and it'll reduce the amount of impervious area with the project, add a little more green space as well. So there are some, and also reduce the project cost. So there are some benefits to doing that.
Any other question?
Sorry, where did you say that? What, like that's a new idea or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I remember asking about the orientation of the building way back when, and I understand why the decision was made to orient it that way, and I also understand why the fence is necessary, so I'm not opposed to the fence at all, but I do still think it's kind of a shame that what's facing Fish Hatchery Road, which is where everyone drives, is like the back of the building and the cars. I'm curious if you could talk a little bit more about the landscaping, because I feel when people say that can vary so much in what that looks like and what that means. Like what does that increased landscaping look like? Is it actually berms, like physically, like higher land around it? Is it just a whole bunch of trees? Is it other types of foliage? Like what might that look like?
Yes, I can address that. So we are not proposing any berming. However, we will provide additional trees and vegetation along that. Also, there is an image included in the package of a view of that northwest side of the facility. Even though I think if you keep going, there's a 3D view there. But even though it is sort of the more private staff side, we are still proposing a lot of glass and a lot of brick material on this backside. So it doesn't read as sort of the back of the house. We're still maintaining the same quality of materials and finishes on all sides of the building.
I know this is kind of far down the line, but has there been any discussion about doing some sort of public artwork in that area to kind of create some beauty along the street?
No, we're not getting any consideration. I will say that, go back to that drawing, I'm not sure there's really a lot of opportunities for that. On the Sally Port will be, the police emblem and note and signage on the end of the Sally Port. But if you go back to that 3D-dimensional drawing again, when we just had up. Yeah, I'm not really sure with all the glass that's in there if there's really any good. As Beth pointed out, it's really not a typical back of the building where you don't have any glass or big dead wall spaces. So I'm not sure if there's any good areas for artwork, because that's something we can look at. But you can kind of see on the Sally Port to the far right, you can see the police emblem on that part of it.
Oh, there. Do you see that? Okay. Welcome to Fitchburg sign. Carol.
I have a question. I know that this facility has been reduced by 25,000 square feet, and, looking at city buildings being hopefully at least 50-year buildings and maybe even longer, is this building going to have the capability of being expanded at some point? Can the second story that was dropped be added later? Will the infrastructure in the building be there to do that?
So we are looking, we're not planning on a future third story, but what we have designed is that north portion of the building. We've already started planning in some future additions to that north side that could happen, in the future, whether the first floor could expand to create more indoor parking space, which is greatly needed by the police department, as well as the roof above the current parking garage, and the new addition would be designed to accommodate a second-story expansion there.
Another option too is with the removal of that 8-stall parking lot, we could also potentially add an addition as well there, and to basically north of the entryway into the building. There'd be a room area there for like a expanded community room or something similar to that as well. So there's a couple of options to expand the building north.
And can you explain, I don't know if people want to know here about the sustainable feature that we are planning to add to this building?
Sure, there are a number of features we're looking at. One is the geothermal building with the heating source. We're looking at putting solar panels on all the roofs of the building with a small green roof at the north end over the one-story parking area. We're looking at making an EV charger available on the street side of Research Park Drive, as well as one for the staff parking area. And then within the building, making it possible to add EV chargers as the police vehicles change over in time to EVs. They'll have a few, as I understand, next year or two, but there'll be some time before all the squad cars are EV capable. And then the bigger push, though, is trying to make the building a little tighter, really trying to reduce energy uses from the get-go on the building. So we're looking at tighter windows, sealing air gaps up, additional insulation on the outside of the building, on the walls, and on the roof. So those are some of the primary things that we're looking at. Is there anything else I'm missing? Oh, also stormwater. We're looking at some additional stormwater detention as well. The standards right now are 90% infiltration, stay on site, and we're looking to try to increase that, 95, maybe even 100%. So we're looking at some options for that as well. So we're looking at everything from the building envelope to on-site geothermal, as well as how the energy is used by the building. But I think with the solar panels on the roof, we're anticipating at least 10% of the energy of the building coming from solar power. One thing to remember with a police facility like this, it's used more 24/7 than the typical office buildings use 8 to 10 hours a day, whereas some parts of this building are used 24/7. So it does create higher demand. So it's harder to get to a net zero.
Thank you. Any other question, comments? Nope. Okay. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Elizabeth, and thank you, Ned.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Bye. So next we move to item I. Is the Ordinance 2024-0-27 and Plan Commission Resolution PCR-08-24 adopting and recommending the Fall 2024 amendment to the Comprehensive Plan, amending text on page 523 to revise the minor amendments, procedures to require approval of a minor amendment by Plan Commission and Council. Okay, so we have David Haight. He wishes to speak. Okay, David.
So my compliments on the blue plate discussion. It's yet again bears out my faith in citizen committees. I mean, that is a example of a well-developed discussion. And I want to point out that the kind of issues that you're addressing are similar to those in terms of the North Stoner Prairie situation, where we've had a church put in where residential is, combined with high density. They got moved to low density and then back to medium density. We've had approximately 20 of a 35-acre environmental corridor reduced from about 30, I believe, to on the order of 15. And now we're talking about going from a large industrial property to a large high-density residential. And so the issues that you were discussing there are multiplied many times in the context of larger comprehensive plan changes. And one of the things I want to say is that I did not create the situations that I'm describing. It's something that's been developed since 2010 by the institution that is the municipal corporation of the city of Fitchburg. So don't blame the messenger. I am just presenting you with information. So one of the things that you also have a responsibility to do is make sure that you understand what your duties and powers are, which includes reading the ordinances and the statutes that define what it is that each of those duties represent. In this case, it's what the comprehensive plan statutes are. And one of the things I'll say right up front here is that the comprehensive plan statute is the master plan statute that was created in 1941. Is still there in its almost exact same form. And then comprehensive plan is an additional step of the Plan Commission recommending to the council that it adopt it as the city's comprehensive plan. So the definition of a master plan, the comprehensive plan, is a master plan that's adopted under Wisconsin 6223, which is the master plan statute. Why isn't anyone ever talk about the master plan statute and what that involves? And what that involves is there's one master plan at any time for the city. You adopt it, and then you exercise your discretion to recommend to the council whether it should take that master plan, either the original one or as amended. You never recommend an amendment to the comprehensive plan. You always recommend that the council adopt an amended master plan as the new comprehensive plan. And so, for example, this is easily solvable in terms of what is this process, what is allowed. All it takes is someone to specify a process, and then either any one of you can ask under state statutes that the city attorney provide an opinion as to whether that process is correct or not. And I'm more than happy to provide that as an open document for any of you or anyone who's a city officer can ask the city attorney to do such a thing, and I will provide that. So the other thing that I want to point out quickly is that the way that the city, under time immemorial law, creates legal requirements is pass an ordinance, pass a resolution. If it's going to last a long time and apply over time, it's got to be an ordinance. So when you put something in a comprehensive plan, especially a comprehensive plan that, quote unquote, in the comprehensive plan statute that says the enactment of a comprehensive plan by ordinance does not make the comprehensive plan by itself a regulation. A regulation is the most general term that we have in Wisconsin courts for what constitutes a law or a legal requirement. So you put it in the comprehensive plan, it is a legal nullity. It might as well not exist. It is not allowed to change, require, prohibit any behavior. The Wisconsin Supreme Court has said that's what a regulation is.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, Deanna, can you?
Yeah, so at our last meeting in October, Plan Commission considered a minor comp plan amendment to change the specific code, to change the specific text in the comprehensive plan related to how the a minor comp plan amendment is done. So we had a very good discussion, and the city attorney Valerie Sisman put together the new text for your review, and that's what I have here up on the screen. I believe I forwarded that to you last October, in October. And so what is before you this evening is a Plan Commission resolution that would approve the text as written here, and then also ordinance that we would request that you provide a recommendation to council regarding the ordinance 27 for passage of this particular text.
Okay, so any question or comment? I see we discussed this a lot. I don't know, you agree with the new language?
Can you just clarify which page is the language we're planning to vote on? Because there's multiple red lines in the packet. Well, I'm just looking at the packet, because this is the packet that will be in front of council, so like where?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Because there's like 3 or 4 red lines.
Yeah, we didn't make all the changes there. We just left the change in whatever was in this ordinance, in the email. We didn't make all the amendments in the older documents.
Okay.
So, but what we did do.
It's the email from Valerie.
Updated the ordinance and the PCR.
Yeah, it will be, if it's not already.
Okay, yeah.
No, it's in there, yes.
Is the
That's
yellow-
the yellow highlight.
the yellow?
I
Okay.
believe so. Check my work there.
Yeah, let's see.
And in doing this, we are following up with what the recommendation with the Wisconsin, with the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, and the way we used to do that in the past.
Okay, so I see now. It's in the actual ordinance.
Yeah.
That's coming back to us today.
Yeah,
and
it's
this
in
is
the
different.
actual ordinance.
Okay, got it.
Oh,
I see
it's
it.
in the, okay, one second.
It's in the resolution, the actual Plan Commission resolution, and then the actual ordinance.
So how will this work with when it goes to council? Is this going to be, this version is going to be in the council packet? So when
This is exactly what would go to council.
So when I make a motion, I'll just make a motion to approve this,
Yep.
and this is based
Yep.
on the
You
changes
don't have
we
to
made.
make any amendments. Okay. We'll take this as exactly how it's written.
So you need to know, explain the council what we're doing here.
Thanks.
Any other question, comment? Shelley?
I have a couple suggested changes, just to make it, I think to make it clear. First, I would remove approval requires majority vote of the council, because that's a given, and if you're only going to talk about, if you want to put that in there, then you should say approval, denial, and amendment require majority vote. So I think it's easier to take that sentence out, and I think we should add, because this will be contentious to some people, perhaps in the future, we should say a council amendment to the ordinance will not take effect unless approved by the Plan Commission upon re-referral. Because right now it's silent. It says the council can amend and re-refer, but it doesn't say we have to approve it, which I believe is what we have to do.
Plan Commission doesn't have to approve what council sets back.
No, but I'm saying, I thought the whole point is that Plan Commission has to approve a change that the council makes. So if the council amends the ordinance and re-refers it back to us, I think it should explicitly say that that doesn't take effect unless the Plan Commission approves the change.
Wouldn't it need to go back to the council regardless after we re-recommend it?
It would.
You basically kind of start the clock over.
Well, no, what Shelley's saying is that in today's world right now, council can override it. So if we send this off saying they could approve their own version and say that's it. And what she's saying is, because we're in this little bit of a catch-22, let's pretend like we'd be in the future state and hold them to what we would only approve, what we would approve.
I mean, there's no point in re-referring it back to us if we have no authority to do anything. Or if we can say we don't like it and they say, so what? I mean, I thought the whole point is that Plan Commission's supposed to have the final approval.
The whole point is that Plan Commission and council must agree to an amendment.
Otherwise, yes.
Right. So Plan Commission has to agree once it's re-referred to us.
And then it would go back to council after that.
Well, perhaps, but I guess, I mean, it would go back to them to approve what they already approved. I mean, I don't know procedurally how that has to work. I thought the point was we have the Plan Commission is supposed to have the final say on the amendment. I mean, on the comprehensive plan amendment. If we don't, what is the point of re-referring it back to us?
So
I guess
tell
maybe
me
I should
again,
ask that question first.
I guess here, because I don't have an easy way to do this. So if I'm correct in understanding, you would take out this line such as that.
Yes.
Right, that doesn't seem, yeah.
Okay.
right.
And then,
I don't, before we kind of move off that, because I do think that's relevant, I think what that line's trying to state is that approval requires majority vote of the council, but other actions might not be valid without a majority vote of the council, if that makes any sense.
no, I'm lost.
So
Like-
I assume a denial or amendment, I suppose.
No, it needs the majority of the present members. This is what it say in the,
Well, see,
it's
I
not the
think,
majority of the council, it's the majority
well,
of
the
the
way it's
present.
framed right there, and I don't know what Valerie's intention was, but I'm reading that as majority vote of the council, not of the members just present.
But this is this is the correct language.
Or
Right,
is
no,
it in
I
there to
agree
say
with
that
that.
you don't
Yes.
require a 2/3 majority, it's just a simple majority? I'm trying to remember which votes we have to have a 2/3
Two-thirds
majority
budget,
for.
isn't that?
No, but it's not true, it's the
Is that for
majority of the present members.
Okay.
But it doesn't say present members
I know,
in
this
that
is what I
tab.
was reading now, what I was,
Right.
yeah, I said something else.
Well, I don't care if you keep it in, but if, then it should say approval, denial, or amendment and re-referral requires majority vote. Why does just an approval require a majority vote is what I'm,
I would guess because that's the only formal, I don't know. I think we're starting to get into a territory where Valerie would probably need to relook at something that we're changing here. I don't know what Deanna's opinion is.
No, do we have the original language of that before?
Here is the language today. Number 8 is right here.
Okay, number 8, that one is the
This
one-
is what it's written today.
the common council.
see, by majority vote refers to everything, approve, modify, or deny. And this was just a technical point on my part for this sentence.
They say the common council may make changes to the recommended plan commission version of the amendment and order the publication of it. But the power now is on council in number 8.
I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding the whole substance of this. I thought the point was the plan commission was to have had to approve a change to a comprehensive plan amendment. So, and that's why I assume when it says that council can amend and re-refer to the plan commission, that means then that we are supposed to act on it. And what's the point of sending it to us and we reject it if it doesn't matter if we reject it? I thought we had to
No,
approve.
but I think the next sentence is the one that says the common council may make technical, not substantive changes to the recommended plan commission version of the amendment without re-referral to plan commission.
Right, I'm
so
talking about
the council can make only, maybe change the one word to another one, but cannot make any substantive change to the amendment. If they make, it had to come back to us.
My understanding is right now, the way it's written, council can just change it and adopt it.
Yeah.
We kind of were in the situation way back when, or just recently, where it did come back. Remember that one did come back to Plan Commission. That only came back to Plan Commission because I requested that it did. It wasn't part of the ordinance. Like the council could have just approved it,
Yeah.
modified it, approved it that night. So that was like a step towards bringing it back towards this process. But I don't, ultimately, that is the conflict, right? It's like the council, the Plan Commission and the council should agree. I think, is that what you're trying to, that's maybe what we should
Right.
clarify here, is that the Plan Commission and the council must agree
Right.
before it's adopted. And that's what's not captured here. What is captured
for
here
the
is a
amendment.
required process that if it's amended by the council substantially, it has to come back to the Plan Commission. But the final step is not said, where the Plan Commission and the council must agree.
Right.
And so I don't know why we don't say that. I don't know if it's that it's just not.
Because all of that is in the packet.
implicit.
It's in the packet. If we read all the the letter from the Wisconsin, the League of Wisconsin Municipality, the letter from the memo from Valerie. She explained what we're doing.
But it's not
here.
in the ordinance.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
In the end, it's
Yeah.
not going to be in the ordinance.
So my question is, do we have the original, the original, before the council changed this language in the last revision of the comp plan? There is the language.
Yeah, we didn't.
Okay, let me see.
Do you have a copy of that old comprehensive plan?
Didn't we bring that up last time and we said it's not really valid and that we were working with Valerie to get this? We were all sent this weeks ago. Could this feedback could have been processed throughout the month and worked through before this point?
I don't think so, because if I would have sent, I think that would have been like an open meeting issue if I sent
No, but
my
you should have
suggested
sent your
changes
comment-
by email to everybody.
No, but you can send the changes to Diana and to Zach, you can do that, not to all of us.
Right, but,
I think, I don't know, I think you might be right, Shelley, and it might make more sense, but changing this text might have longer arms than we mean for it to have right here, and if it does trigger re-review by Valerie, that might delay this process, and I don't know where Deanna's on that.
well, then I don't know what this means then. I mean, that's the problem. This says the Common Council votes to amend and re-refer to the Plan Commission, and then it's silent. What does it mean to re-refer to us? Why we refer?
This one, Shelley, you know what they need to send? It's in the second paragraph, sentence. They say, if the council make any substantial change to the comp plan, they need to refer back to us.
So I think the purpose, from my view, it's like, right now, the council does not have to send it back to Plan Commission at all.
Exactly.
So now it's just saying it has to send back to Plan Commission in the hope that Plan Commission could then consider that amendment and decide whether or not they agree with it. Because I could see a situation where council has a conversation that maybe wasn't discussed in Plan Commission fully, and that context of that conversation could change the Plan Commission's decision. You know what I mean? Like, it just requires further conversation with the Plan Commission, whereas currently that's not even allowed. And the other part that was missing, I think, from that recent situation that happened that will need to be present is that for things like this where the council and the Plan Commission disagree, we need the city attorney to clarify that legally the Plan Commission and the council have to agree. Like, we need that guidance as part of the discussions.
Here. Isn't it? Go to that memo, okay? The first page, there is, from 2009 to 2019, the city consistently interpreted the requirement during the comprehensive plan, blah, 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 and this is the language used to be before.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find your memo.
It's it's in part of the packet. It's here. This is the paragraph that used to be in the comp plan. What is, in addition, can you read it?
Yep. In addition, per state statute procedures for adoption of the comprehensive plan amendments, the Common Council is to adopt the same amendments that the Plan Commission approved via their Plan Commission resolution. Any Common Council request for changes to the Plan Commission approved amendments would need to go back to Plan Commission for their approval or denial. This state statute requirement limits Common Council to only being able to make minor changes to the amendments approved by the Plan Commission. Any substantial policy changes need to be approved by the Plan Commission resolution.
Okay, so this is what we want to do.
But that's not in here. That's
well,
my
but
point.
we can. This is a new. This is. I know, but we can say, instead of having what she put together, we can say we go to the old language. It's here. This is what we want to do. This is the old language. Put it back. Isn't it? Yes.
Well, that was language in the, I'm sorry, wasn't that language in the legal opinion?
No, that was the original, what we used to have in the comp.
Oh.
Yeah, this is why we are following the state law, and we are following what the League of Wisconsin Municipality interpreted that we should be doing. This is the paragraph.
So I'm
And the
saying,
following language from memos from the planning department with the council accompanying the plan. So I think this was some text that they put in to the memos that went with a minor comp plan amendment.
so I guess Shelley, are you saying that maybe we shouldn't even have an ability to amend at all? Like there should be no option to amend, it should just go back to this original language where the council has the authority to either approve or deny what has been sent to them by plan and nothing else?
I'm kind of a visual person. I'm trying to find it. I thought there was a sentence that said an amendment doesn't, or the council and the plan commission has to agree to an amendment. No, I think the council can amend. All I'm saying is.
I want to tell you what happened previous. Carol and I, we went through this process. You know, we have the plan commission say, we want this. It went to council. Council say no. It came back to plan. Plan say no. We stand for what we say. It went back to council. Council say no. We want to check. Went back to plan. It went like this for I don't know how many times until some member of the common council with some neighbors, okay, neighbor from the Seminole Forest area, they hired their own attorney. They said what we were doing was wrong, and some council member changed the language. And they say, no, the power should be with the council. This is what happened in 2019. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what the history, But the question is, we are not following. We have to form we need to follow the law, and I don't feel confident that the language that we have today in the comp plan, we are doing that because it goes against what the recommendation from the previous city attorney, the league, our attorney. So.
Right. I mean, I was just trying to make clear what I think, what we've just been talking about. And it's not in here because this ordinance language doesn't say what happens upon an amendment and re-referral. If you look at the first sentence, I was just trying to, I think there's a void, and I think we need to fill that void so we don't get into the same place we were in 2019. Right now, it says that the council can vote to amend and re-refer to the plan commission, but then it doesn't say what happens when it gets back to plan commission on a re-referral. And if we are supposed to have to be able to approve along with council whatever a comp plan amendment is, then it should say that the amendment doesn't take effect until plan commission also approves it, or words to
Where
that
does it
effect.
say re-referral in the highlighted? Maybe I'm missing it in the.
It's the first I'm reading from the memo, and I'm assuming this is okay.
It's over 2 lines, but it says and re-refer.
Yeah, re-refer.
I think the intention, and I don't want to speak for Valerie, is that it re-refers back to Plan Commission. Plan Commission votes on it, and then it goes back to council one more time. And so I think that's what closes the loop on what you're talking about, but I'm not sure if I'm understanding you correctly.
And I think that's probably true, but it doesn't say that.
No, I because Valerie explained that to me, okay?
Right.
And because I have all these questions, and the second sentence is where the answer is. So the common council, the only way that the common council can approve something without our, the plan commission approval is they make any minor technical or not substantive changes. And he explained me what they were those. Do you remember, Diana, what it was? She gave me an example, I forgot. If there is any substantial change to the amendment, it had to go back to plan.
And then what?
Well, plan, we follow the process again. We review it, we approve it, deny it, or we send it back to council. Or if we agree with council, suppose that we send an amendment to council, and council makes substantial changes. It had to come back to plan. And then we decided, okay, we like the changes. We send it back, council approve, and that's it. But if the council send a substantial change to the amendment, and we decided that, we don't agree with council, we send back our original back to council until it's going to reach a compromise. But this is the process. I don't know if we need to add all of that in the ordinance. You know what I mean?
What would be the sentence that would clarify that?
A council amendment to the ordinance will not take effect unless approved by the Plan Commission upon re-referral. There's perhaps a nicer way of saying it.
A council amendment will not.
A council amendment to the ordinance will not take effect unless approved by the Plan Commission upon re-referral. And I'm sorry I didn't send this to you earlier. I thought that wasn't sure that was appropriate.
I want this to.
Well, not, I'm sorry. It's getting too late. Will not take into effect.
And so, Julia, what I'm hearing you say is that...
I don't have any problem with this language that Valerie put together, because, you know what I mean?
I do think this clarifies it, though, because it makes it clear that we have to agree.
So, just from a procedural standpoint here, if we took this forward as with Shelley's amendment, and for some reason Valerie's uncomfortable because this changes the intention of the ordinance that she's reviewed, it might delay the process and it might have to come back to Plan Commission.
Yeah, because we need to send a notice, isn't it? Wait 30 days, and then we are going to be reviewing this in February.
Well, we'll hold the public hearing. We'll just go ahead and hold the public hearing in December. And we're going to have to hold the public hearing in December anyway. So a council amendment to the ordinance will not until approved by the Plan Commission. Is that what?
A council amendment to the ordinance will not take effect unless approved by the Plan Commission upon re-referral.
Okay.
I mean, my only concern is if it's left like this, amend and re-refer, then we're back to the high density, medium high density. They re-referred it back to us. We said no, and it didn't matter.
I don't really see any.
So that's why I thought it's important to be clear about closing the loop and saying what the effect is, but.
You're worried that they would re-refer and then
ignore.
If they didn't like what we said on the outcome, they've met the brief and they could just move forward.
Right.
But not with this language that we have here.
But if something's, I guess the hard part is if something's referred to us from council, I assume we start at the beginning again. So then aren't we back within all the rules and the fact that it has to be put back to, I get that we can put ourselves in a loop like you're describing here, but at least we have the power in that loop to continue to say, no, we don't agree with this.
It seems that the Planning Commission really shouldn't deny something, though. What it should do is it should amend it to how it wants it to be and then send it back to council. Mm-hmm. And then the council can't, you know what I mean? I think the problem would be, and this happened with the last one, where the Planning Commission denied, rather than sending it back to council as it was before, I believe we denied it, and then it went back, because that's how other commissions work. Commissions are just advisory in most other cases. And so if a denial could mean the council could still pass it. Mm-hmm. But if the Plan Commission never denies something, if it comes back as a referral, and the Plan Commission just amends it to what they think it should be and sends it back to council, it might create a loop. But at least it wouldn't be, they wouldn't have the ability to approve it with any substantial changes. You know what I mean? It could create a loop, but
that's better than them just superseding us, I guess, completely at this point.
I guess I don't follow that. They still would supersede us. I don't see how it's different than the medium-high thing, the medium-high, but.
Because if it comes.
Because changing to, the median, this is a substantive, if we say that we have an amendment that says we want to do, from high density to, suppose, an example, from low density to medium density. And go to council, and council say, no, we want from low to high, okay? So that one is a substantive change. It had to come back to us.
But it didn't matter that it did.
No, that one is the past. I am telling what what they say here, how we're fixing this.
It would now.
Yeah. It fixes it with the second sentence. And then council can say, okay, no, we want from low to high, but we approve only from low to medium. Because it's a substantive change, it had to come back to council, to the plan commission. And then we decided what we're going to do. We say, yes, we agree with council, or we say, no, we maintain medium. So then it go back to council again, because this is our recommendation. And then maybe council decided, okay, fine, we accept plan.
I think I will say I think that language is important, but I think that needs to be clarified by the city attorney when this happens.
What is the
like,
a council amendment?
Like the problem that we faced in that last discussion was that Valerie was not present to explain the legality of what was happening. That was a big piece of the issue too.
Yeah, she's not here.
Where's what Deanna read? Where's the legal opinion that you read, or that paragraph you read from?
Oh, the paragraph was in a memo from, actually that she just did a little while ago.
But that one is what it was before, and this is what we tried to accomplish. I don't know if that one was part of the ordinance or it was part of the comp language. It seemed like it was part of the comp language, isn't it?
I think this was language that the planning department used in our memos. I don't know that I don't believe this was the exact language in the comp plan.
It was the sentence where it said council and plan commission have to agree to approve. That's
Okay,
the
so we need to move forward. We said 9 o'clock and we have half of the agenda. Okay, so.
I am comfortable with this. I understand what you're saying, Shelley, but I'm comfortable with the language.
Which language?
In yellow.
Okay.
The language in yellow. But I'm interested if other people have something to say about it.
Okay, so can you tell me, because I want to, it's time to vote.
How about this? I move to approve Plan Commission Resolution PCR-08-24.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so I will ask all who are in favor of this.
Aye.
Aye.
How many?
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The only one is Shelley.
Nay.
Okay. Okay, so. All right. But Gabriela can explain that, Shelley, maybe, to the common council and,
Yeah, honestly, I really do understand. I just think there's a void here, but I do understand.
We can ask Valerie,
But if you look at the actual ordinance, or the PCR resolution, it does say in the now therefore and the be it further resolved. I think that clarifies what's in there, so I don't know which supersedes which, but I think the ordinance needs better teeth, but I think this is better than what we have. So
I was going to say we're about 90 or 95% there compared to where we are today. So
correct.
I move to approve, or I move to recommend to Common Council to approve ordinance, or to pass ordinance 2024-0-27.
Second.
all those in favor of the ordinance say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Shelley. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next we are in item J, Resolution R-174-24, approving second amendment to the agreement for the subdivision improvement in the plat of Highfield Reserve. Okay, Diana, what is this?
Yeah, this is what's happening here is the subdivision improvement agreement for Highfield Reserve was done several years ago, and the applicants are coming back to amend the timeline for the phases and amend the phasings. So it's pretty normal. Staff recommends approval of this amendment to the subdivision improvement agreement.
I have a question. My understanding was that this plat has only 4 phases, and here they said include 9 phases. Is 9 or 4?
It's 9 phases.
Oh,
now.
really? 9 phases now? Whoa, okay.
They're just doing, they're doing smaller chunks as the market bears.
Okay. 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 Yeah.
I'll move to approve Resolution R-174-24.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Resolution R-201-24, approving agreement for subdivision improvement in the plat of the Thermo Fisher subdivision.
So as you might recall, Plan Commission has approved final plat for the Thermo Fisher property. You have also approved a rezone to business general for that lot that was created, that the plat created to accommodate the Y.
Oh, that one is the Y. Okay.
Yes. So we are finally to the point where we have a subdivision improvement agreement with Thermo Fisher, and this will allow the installation of the necessary public improvements and to allow the project to move forward. So all of the subdivision improvement agreements that have some kind of phasing do come to Plan Commission, other ones don't, but this one does have some phasing.
Okay. Any question, comments? I need someone to call this. I cannot do it.
I move approval of Resolution R-201-24, approving agreement for subdivision improvements in the plat of Thermo Fisher subdivision.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item L, Resolution R-189-24, granting an underground electric easement on Lot 1 in SM 5147 Nine Spring Golf Course.
Okay, so this is an easement that will allow some new electrical infrastructure. This is on the south side of Traceway Drive. Highlighted in yellow is where this easement, this underground easement would be. So the city is granting an easement to MG&E to allow their electrical distribution system.
Okay.
And staff recommends approval.
Comment?
Is it tied to the hub project then specifically, or did this? Because if it is, then why does it need to be done now, or why would we be doing that now? I'm assuming related to phase 2, or is it related to phase 1?
This is related to the hub. I don't know exactly all the details. This is related to phase 1.
Phase 1, okay, because the way it looks here, I'm thinking, why are we even looking at phase 2 yet?
Yeah, phase 2.
That's years off, so it is for phase 1.
This is phase 1.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's phase 2. Who knows? Okay.
I move approval of Resolution R-189-24.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item M, Resolution R-204-24, accepting a public sanitary sewer easement on Outlot 40 in the Terravesa plat.
Yeah, so this is just a public sewer easement that the city needs to maintain their existing infrastructure. I guess I don't have a whole lot of additional detail on that one, but it's on the far western side of Terravesa. So it's off
a
of
new
Larson's
phase?
Wharf.
For the new phase, maybe? I don't
know. I think it more might have to do with more. It could be related to the new phase, but I think this outlot will remain an outlot. I don't think it's particular to a phase.
Okay.
I'll move approval of Resolution R-204-24.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item N, Resolution R-205-24, accepting a public sanitary sewer and water main easement on Lot 1 in CSM 13827, Inspiration at Swan Creek.
Okay, so this is Fred's project, and as you might recall, he has a private drive that runs to the site, and so East Sherrill is down here, Sassafras is up here. But in order to serve all those houses, there needs to be sewer and water lines, and those lines are public. So what this easement is doing, it's granting a public easement for those sewer and water lines that will run along that section of where the private road is.
Move approval of R 205-24.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carried. So next we are on what? Resolution R-206-24, releasing a public utility easement on lots 6 and 7 in the Jamestown Commercial Additional Plat.
Let me, as long as I'm right over here. This is an existing building, and actually there's an old easement that runs under, an old public easement that runs under the building. Back in the old days, we did build buildings over easements and property lines, and so this is releasing that public easement that's underneath this building.
What does it mean, releasing?
It means that we are giving, so an easement is granting right. And so in this case, the easement was granting rights to the city or the public for utilities. It could be sewer, could be water. There's nothing in there now. So
Is it this picture?
yeah,
So where does it run?
it runs right about in here.
Wow.
And this is not too uncommon. I know it looks kind of weird, but it was actually two different lots here. And they built the building, yeah, it was basically at the lot line. And the utilities never went in, the building went in. It's been there for decades and decades and decades. And usually this doesn't come up as a problem, but in this case, they're selling the property and they're trying to get all of these things cleaned up.
Which property is that one?
This is, was this like a plumbing company or something? I'm not even sure.
Where is that?
Anton Drive.
This,
What?
King
that
James Way. That's
King
K-PAC and Anton. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm not good enough old timer, but yeah.
Oh, they're selling that
Who are they
parcel.
selling to? Do they have a buyer yet?
Not that I'm aware of. We've only been working with the realtors.
Another wedding event.
And they laugh.
Too silly. Okay.
I'll move to approve resolution R-206-24.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Can we do the other two and then the park? Because I don't know.
I'm okay with that. There isn't going to be anybody that's going to care
Can we
about
do
these.
that? Because the park maybe is going to take longer. Okay. We are in queue. Is a resolution?
Do we need to make any formal motion for that?
Yeah, we need to make a formal motion.
So you're trying to move Q and R before P. I'll move to move items Q and R to be before P.
Second.
Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay. Q, resolution R-207-24, accepting a public pedestrian bike path easement and maintenance agreement on lot 7 on Hartown Fields.
Let me.
It's something similar to.
So you might recall that in Hartown Fields, this big building is under construction.
Yes.
And there's another building. You've approved the GIP for the second building.
Mm-hmm.
Between those two buildings is, originally there was to be actually a roadway through there. And as part of that compromise, we've ended up with a public path through there. So what this does is accept the public bike path and pedestrian path easement and then a maintenance agreement. So it still remains private property, but we'll have a public easement to access that bike and pedestrian path that the developer is required to construct to connect to the park is right here, right? There's a park here, and then there'll be a pathway that will cut across.
I have a question because this is a private, why we need to have the word maintenance there? What we are going to maintain is a private path.
My understanding is the property owner is required.
They don't give that, if that's a public path that they're allowing public access to, they don't give that over to the city for maintenance once they pave it?
In this case, I don't believe so.
Well, that makes sense then. It makes them have to.
So in this case, maintenance, the grantor of this easement and the grantor of this easement is Hartung Brothers, and it will run with the land. Shall maintain the path installed in good condition and repair for both.
Okay, fine, yeah.
So the idea here was that they would maintain it.
Okay.
Oh, so it's the maintenance agreement.
Basically, it's saying
Okay.
it's saying that we give the public the right to access it, and then we're going to maintain it.
Okay.
Got it.
The best of both worlds.
Okay.
I'll move to approve resolution R-207-24.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next one is resolution R-181-24, approving an agreement for subdivision improvement in the plat of Jamestown Quarry. That this one was postponed from October 8, 2024. Common Council meeting. I don't know what it is. Okay.
So what has changed, there's phasing in this plan, and the phasing was tied into the early start that we did for the apartments. That is going to allow him to have that early start major construction. So this is the overall subdivision improvement agreement that includes all of the public infrastructure that needs to be installed. So that's what this is.
Any question, comments?
I'll move approval of resolution R-181-24.
Second.
All those in favor of the resolution say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay, so now we are on resolution R-208-24. Approval now is the 25-2030. Before it was the 29-24. The approval of the 25-2030 Parks and Open Space and Recreation Plan. Okay, so Scott and Brad are here because they have been working on all the changes. And remember that this plan went to several commission and committees. It came to us like in March. We told them we would like to see the revision coming back to us. So this is what, they're here. Okay, Scott and Brad, I don't know who's going to start with this. Oh, Diana? You?
Well,
Diana's here. Wait a second.
Do you want me to take some comments here? So this is a 5-year planning document to assist the city park and recreation department in making their planning decisions. This update will also ensure that the city of Fitchburg's eligibility to participate in DNR and state grant assistance programs. Included in your packet is the revised draft with the red lines, and then also a draft that includes the changes accepted. So the update process of this actually started in 2021, and with public engagements and working sessions, a draft of the earlier version was put together in 2023. The revised draft was referred out to committees and commissions for comments this past spring. And as the mayor mentioned, this came to Plan Commission last March. We took over 50 different comments, requested revisions. Staff, over several weeks, worked together to review each one of the suggested revisions and determine which ones would be appropriate to include. I would say that a big chunk of those comments and requested revisions were included, but of course not everything was put in the to the document. And some of the following changes that Plan Commission specifically highlighted was changes to the date. We added some color coding for the action items. We added language related to park naming. We added language relating to replacing grass turf with native vegetation where possible, including the community gardens in the inventory. We're still finalizing that. Noted in the action items that staffing is limited and needs further study. Staff notes that the park impact fees can, this is just my note, park impact fees, that was one of the comments that was made in the review by Plan Commission to clarify what park impact fees can be used for. And park fees cannot be used for ongoing maintenance. They can only be used to acquire new parkland or install new improvements. There are a small number of minor updates that staff is still working on in this document. So the first thing is we need to add the Hartung Fields Parks and then remove Level Lane. Level Lane is an old water tower site that probably was never intended to be included as parkland. Staff notes that there also are 5 community parks, not 6. That was noted in this draft. And the maps 1 and 2 are still being finalized with some minor updates. So I will kick it back to you, Scott and Brad.
Yeah, I would certainly just like to thank Dee and Brad for all their work in getting the plan to where it is at this point. There was quite a heavy lift with their other planning assignments and projects. So I just wanted to thank them, and certainly it is going to be a document that's going to be a living document. I think it did make a big step from the previous document, and it really does kind of bring to light that the park system that we have within the city is pretty comprehensive. It's pretty large. A lot of woodlots, trails, natural areas. Really, it does bring to light how large the system is. So, any questions? If I can answer, that'd be good.
Yes, I went through my notes and I reviewed the revised, and there are a couple of things that I don't see or I recommended to do, like in page, I think it's the last page where you have plan monitoring updates and amendments. There are priority labels and there are action items. And I remember, because I have it in my notes, that I mentioned that it would be great to have describe, what are those action items, because 2B, 3A, 3C, so it's kind of like I need to go back and look at that. Can we name what are those action items? And then the other, if there are some item that they need a deadline, there is a time frame, and also is there some item that they need some funding. So we need to add that, at least say that require funding, or what I mean. So I would like to see that, if you can, mention which are those items, action, because it's going to be easier for anyone who is reading this document to understand, which one are. And if there is a deadline or a time frame, we should add it. And if there is any budgetary condition, we should mention that. Because, we can have a lot of action items, but all these action items require a lot of millions of dollars. We need to be aware of that. So that one is one. They don't have pages. Here they are. On page One second. On page 1, when there is a table that you mention all the City of Fitchburg recreation facility standards, I think that I mentioned in my previous review that we need to add something for the pickleball. We have pickleball courts, and for sure there are some standards and requirements that we need to add. The other thing that I want to mention someone is taking note of this?
Because what page was, what was the?
Because I would really want to see this.
What was the page?
I am this one, page 1 is 0 and 1. I don't know, I have it here, I printed.
The page numbers disappeared on the red line.
Oh, really?
Okay, so, all right, so, I see what you're saying.
Oh, no, I see.
Okay.
You know, I mean, in that table is...
Table 2.
Yeah, table 2. Okay, there it is, table 2, okay. On page 4, there is a nice map. They talk about referral and public hearing second draft. I don't know what it is. I don't know. There is no title about this. This one is Fitchburg Park Service Area. So, Scott, can we add some language about the 10-minute walk? You know what I mean? Because that one is associated, and put the map that Dakota created. You know what I mean? There is a nice map with a 10-minute walk. And the idea is that most of our parks are located, most of our residents live 10 minutes from a park. There is a nice map that was created. It will be nice if we can incorporate that here. Okay. So that one are my comment for now. And the other thing that I think is missing this park and open space plan is missing some of policies. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that one is, I am not going to spend time now, but I think it's something that I will ask other committee to take a look at this, about what are some of the policies that we can incorporate on, on how there are different type of policy and looking with an equity lens, some of these policies. So, but this is for another conversation. Gabriel.
Just one note on the council composition on this first or second page. Randy Udell is no longer on the council, and Jay Allen is no longer the council president. But thanks for the detailed red line. That's really helpful to process changes.
Oh, how did we miss?
Yeah. Whoa.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and in number, what is? There are so many pages. I don't know. What is it? 86?
Okay.
No, sorry. That one is the old one. The other comment that I received from the Housing Advisory Committee and CEDA, they want to know is this one when you go back to Park Commission, is the Park Commissioner are going to take a look at the fee in lieu and park dedication? I think, what is the plan for this? Because this is something that CEDA and the Housing Advisory Committee will ask the Park Committee to discuss, to determine, are we still accepting more parkland or no? Or we are going to revise those fees, so... Scott, I don't think that you have had a conversation in the Parks Commission about this topic, but this is something that always come back to, for discussion. If you want more, talk to Mike Zimmerman. He gave me this note.
Can I try to answer some of those questions?
Okay. Yes.
Let me see. The first one, the way that we built the action item chart, we left the chart in there as is, but what we did is color code the action items in the document based on that chart. So there's blue and green coding on those action items that was our attempt to make it more readable, whether it's an ongoing item or a priority item. So if you scroll up from that, you'll see that there's color coding on each of those action items.
Sorry, Brad, but how do I know that I need to read that with the color? You know what I mean? Like, there is any introduction or explanation to say this is how I need to read this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I thought there was.
Where?
I would move that key to the beginning. I
Wait,
think
what?
is there's a key at the end of the action items indicating which ones are ongoing and which ones are priority. I would just put that at the beginning.
Oh, at the beginning of the, that makes
action
sense.
items.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're, yeah,
That makes sense.
I think that's a
yeah.
great way to stratify, but yeah, you want to know what
okay,
you're
yeah.
looking at. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get the colors, Brad. So.
You have it in the new red text explanation, but I think move that whole table. I think it'd be a quicker way for people to recognize it. So.
Sure, that makes sense. Let's see, the pickleball courts. I think we maybe didn't fully understand the comment that you had before, because we added them into, I think it was table 6.
Where is 6? Let me see. 6. Table 2, table 3. Table 6. Oh, this one talk about the recreation, the facility, but it doesn't mention the standards.
Yeah, we removed the standards from table 6 because we haven't been able to track down what the creation of those standards and what was the basis for them. So what we did on table 6 was change it to a comparison among other communities of similar size on how many facilities there are and kind of what the median is. So that was how we changed table 6. If we want to develop, I'd have to defer to Scott on if we add size and dimension standards into table 2 for pickleball.
And we need to follow there.
That's kind of what the table 2, I think we modified that one a bit too. So if we wanted to set up like size and dimension, space and orientation for pickleball, yeah, I'd defer to Scott on that.
Yeah, because we are naming most of all our sports, and pickleball is one of the, we are building a pickleball court, and people are playing that, and this is what there should be standards, isn't it, to build those things? I don't know.
They are mentioned in table 3.
I think that makes sense, yep.
We do have pickleball. in
Table 3, my understanding is that's from Smart Code.
Which one?
Table 3.
That's true, it was.
I think Smart Code guidance for the civic spaces, which is, I think, part of Smart Code.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the process would be to change those recommendations. It's something we could look into.
It is included there, so it should be easy to include it in a parallel table that exists for the regular zoning codes.
So, Brad, did you say that table 3 is for a smart code? I don't see the word smart code here. So.
It's because civic spaces are what parkland is in smart code.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So
it talks about it in
I made table 3.
A couple paragraphs above that.
20 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but we know that language. People,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is okay.
It's talked about in the paragraphs above the table.
Yep.
Where is?
In 2009.
So if you go up the special use areas and civic spaces, that's where it describes how civic spaces fit into the smart code zoning district.
Yeah, it's
where is
it's on page 0.
Page 0.
But you're,
I know, I found it
is.
here, yeah. Okay.
And then the last one that I can address is the parkland and fee in lieu of
Yeah.
topic. That's an action item in this plan. So that would be something that would be addressed as a project after the plan's adopted.
But this is what, Brad, it will be, because I have seen other plans that we put together, and we also have a time frame for some action plan, and we have a funding source. And, I know that we are doing this as priority or ongoing, but priority, what does it mean that is priority? It's priority in 1 year, priority in 2 years, priority in 5 years. You know what I mean? So I think if we are going to put action item usually you have to be more specific about a time frame and a funding source if there is some budgetary restrictions. So that's it. This is what I want to be sure that if we don't start putting some deadline on this thing, is like, I don't know, I have been heard about, since I am in council, I think we always say, oh, we need to revise those, fee in lieu of park dedication. It's going to be, 9 years. And this is what I mean. For me, it's important to, if we can add some, deadlines. Or we say in 25 we would like to do that, or in 26. You know what I mean? But at one point we need to discuss this. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I am the only one thinking like this.
I think that makes sense. I think stratifying the priorities and trying to give ourselves at least a goal of addressing, I think, is important for a plan like this. Also, just to note, the plan or the Common Council list will need to be updated in the acknowledgements in addition to right at the beginning of the report.
Where?
At the very end, there's acknowledgements for the Parks Commission and the Common Council. So I think the Common Council needs to be updated at the very beginning and then at the very end again. Or maybe I jumped back. I'm rereading the unredlined one. Excuse me. It's a little too late.
Okay. It's late. Shelley wants to jump in if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, yes.
No. just a quick thing. And I know because you have pages, this table too, on facilities and location notes and everything, I'm wondering if someplace in here there should be some mention about placement of playground equipment to a distance from retention ponds. And I raise it because I'm in Hillside Heights, and that was, as Scott knows, a big issue. The play equipment had to be moved or something because it was too close to a retention pond. And I don't know if this is the document where there should be some standards for that.
And that one should be a policy. This is what I say. I think this plan lacks some policies. You know what I mean? That one should be a policy that we should be, Also, other thing that I will mention is personally, I would like that all the parks that we build in the future, they are all accessible park. You know what I mean? That we have to be intentional that all the kids can play in those playgrounds, not some kids. You know what I mean? So that one is a policy. Okay. And we don't see it here. We don't see the language here. So, or how to finance, parks. That one is a policy. Or how to maintain parks. This is another policy. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So this is something that maybe we can add to this plan. You know what I mean? We can add the stuff, isn't it, to plans? Can we do that? Or no?
Yeah. Right now, of course, the document, we're kind of working off the format of a previous document, trying to do the update. I guess moving towards a policy direction might take more time on this document.
Yeah, you already take it like 3 years to do it, so.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's.
I think it's right, but I think you might want to wait until we actually do a real good, full update to the plan.
But the question is, well, this is something that we need to, I don't know if this discussion is for the park commission, and maybe I should go there and have this discussion with them.
Yeah.
But the question is, if we are building future parks, okay, we need to have a policy how we want this park to look like. And I said, you make a good point. How to, so if, how to do with all this park land that they dedicate to us, do we want to asset more parkland or no? We cannot even maintain what we have, you know what I mean? So that one is something that we need to have those discussions, but maybe not in this commission, but we need to start having those discussions.
Yeah, I agree. I think that just because I see it from the planning side and about the dedication and what, and I think there is a discussion to be had about maybe standards for and policy, standards and policies for land to be accepted for dedication. I don't know that this is the right document to do that here. But I think, there's a discussion that needs to be had about the park impact fees. And
or for planning purpose, that one is another one.
And
for housing.
And and tying that in. Certainly there could be and certainly you could even tie that together with a discussion of the types of land and what we expect in terms of acceptance for lands.
Yes, I know. It's some more thing to discuss, to think about it.
I just want to call attention to something too. It might not meet what you are looking at, but the in the issues section under play equipment, it says the city should continue to install ADA accessible play equipment in future system parks with equipment replaced as it becomes obsolete and undesirable, and city should continue to monitor the need for play equipment maintenance and consider installing inclusive playgrounds anytime equipment is installed or replaced. I'd have to double check to see if that made it into an action item tied to it.
Okay.
But I think that's what that section was trying to get at is inclusive playgrounds and installing those in the future.
So our purpose here is to pass a resolution. It does not sound like we're going to be doing that tonight. Am I correct? There's a lot of changes that we're still talking through here. So
no, it's changes that we, a plan commission, we discussed in March, you know what I mean, as a plan commission. And this is what when I reviewed that, some of those changes, I didn't see it. This is what I brought back to why they didn't. Yeah.
So we can't approve the resolution then if you want to do that, if we want to make changes, right?
No, because we can make the changes, and then this one is going back to Park Commission, and then it's going to Council on December 10th.
Yes, that's what it's scheduled to do right now.
But I don't think that the comment that I'm making are big changes.
Yeah, that's the supporting document. That's a resolution with all that text in there. I mean, isn't it?
I suggest that perhaps we could pass it in the anticipation that those amendments will come through by the time it reaches council because the feedback I think is being taken, and I don't have a problem passing it, with the stipulation that, changes will be made as they run through the rest of the commissions.
Because they are still working on this document,
Well, yeah, this is driving me nuts because in a professional setting, you would never have 20 people all weighing in from different perspectives on it. Like you get a small group, you get the document to where you need it to be. Then, our purpose here is not to review every single thing in there. It's a park plan. What are the things that impact us? You named off some of those, park impact fees, land dedication. That's what we need to be caring about. We as a plan commission, I don't really care if it mentions pickleball courts or tennis courts. So I want us to be using our time a little bit more judiciously here because we're not getting anywhere. These one-off requests should not be part of a plan commission meeting. At least not at this point if you want approval for a resolution. I thought that we were at a point where the red lines were approved and we were going to say, yes, that looks like what we have discussed. And if it's not, then sure, we can approve with the understanding that there's going to be, but I mean, Julie, you just rattled off a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to assume that that is going to make it in there, and then plant and park is not going to have feedback.
So, okay. Any other comment, question? No? Okay. Brad, I hope some of the recommendation you added, for when it goes to parks and council. Okay? Thank you. Okay.
I'll move approval of resolution R20824.
I guess just for my edification, as I'm writing this down, are we approving the resolution with specific changes, or are we approving it just kind of per the discussion here? Okay.
Just making sure. Suggestions, right?
Yeah.
Sure. That's cool. Just
Yeah.
making sure I got it
Yeah.
right.
Per suggested, changes.
So, all those in favor of the resolution, say aye.
I think there needs a second, I think.
I'll second.
All of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Okay. So next we move to item 6, report from department. So do we have anything from transportation and transit?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to summarize, we had a continued discussion about the parking requirements and driveway standards. I summarized our conversation here at Plan Commission, made it very clear that transmission demand management was not something that could be considered with a city our size and with the staff of our size, and kind of just summarized our discussion. The Transportation Transit Committee certainly heard the concerns that we had. The conversation continued, but I made it clear that I was uncomfortable with the commission taking any specific stance without having feedback from Deanna and Mike or Mike Zimmerman about how the process actually works, because I think there's a lot of discussion about theoretically how parking minimums can have negative impacts on development, but I don't know that it was necessarily based in how we actually operate as a city on a day-to-day basis, because as Deanna has mentioned multiple times, we don't enforce parking minimums. And so how do we, I understand that the TTC wants to make a policy statement, but how do we make that's actually in line with the real process and not with a fear about how it works? So that was what my message was, and we're going to reconvene probably in January, hopefully with some feedback.
Okay, I already sent an email to the commission, okay? And I told them that you guys can discuss whatever you want there, but when we are going to have a discussion about this topic when we revise the comprehensive plan, because staff doesn't have capacity to work on this.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I already sent an email.
But I would just say that sometimes it's helpful to have commissions.
No, you can
bring
discuss it.
suggestions.
You can discuss it, but the staff doesn't have any capacity to start working on changing ordinance and all of that stuff. That's it.
Yeah, I don't know if it requires a change in ordinance because we don't
there's a
have
lot of
parking
things
minimums.
that there was another email today with a lot of
Anyway,
things.
we can discuss this
Yeah,
later. I just wanted to say that we'll talk more in January, but no actual decisions or specific ideas were adopted or suggested.
During the comp plan, there wasn't a big idea.
Yes, I mean, that's certainly what we can do. Just for clarification, we did take the parking standards off the website. Zach and I do not count parking spaces. I don't know what else to say. I think that, transportation demand management would take significant staff time. Part of the reason that we don't count parking spaces is that we don't have the staff. And to start talking about parking maximums, once again, it's just a staff issue of counting parking places. So I think most developers that we work with don't put more parking in than they absolutely have to. And if anything, they will underpark where possible. Tonight, you had some unusual situations where you have something like a Chick-fil-A, a McDonald's. These big national firms come with standards of their own, and they are either McDonald's is going to get their number of parking spaces that they want, or they will not come to Fitchburg. That's just how these big companies work. So I guess that's about all I can say about it.
Do you have anything else for DCC?
No.
No?
Thank you.
Agricultural and Rural Affairs Committee?
We met today, and among the items discussed, Ben from our environmental engineer came and talked about whether or not there could be any agricultural use of the dredging of the retention ponds in Fitchburg. So there was a good discussion about that. And then Deanna asked them to think about issues that should be put into an eventual RFP for contractor to redo the comprehensive plan, including what is agriculture looking like now? Is it changing? Are we going to farmettes, et cetera? There was a good discussion about, we have minimum dairy and livestock farming in Fitchburg, land ownership, half of the farmland is rented out, and 2 or 3 renters control a lot of the acreage. So there are going to be fewer small farms, and it just discussions about things like that, which then segued into the city not having a commitment to long-term agriculture, and that's affecting the ability of people to get bank loans to farm in Fitchburg, and perhaps there should be a connection with work with the UW Agriculture School to see if there are ways that we can, I think, incentivize people to farm, and what we should be doing with our farmland, given we're near an urban area. So there are just discussions like that, and whether totally helpful to Deanna. I think there were more that we wanted to get out of it, but.
Can I just ask one clarification? The city's commitment to farmland is influencing the ability to get bank loans?
Because apparently that if there's not going to be a long-term commitment to keeping this land as ag land, banks don't want to lend to people looking to buy land. But then there was also discussion about how farming is no longer a family supporting business, and so there was a lot of interesting discussion that hopefully will help Deanna when she puts the RFP together. And that was it.
Do you have anything to report?
Yeah, just briefly, the neighborhood plans are continuing on. 3 key dates coming up. December 3rd, 5 o'clock is the Greenfield Steering Committee meeting, so that would be December 3rd at 5 o'clock. We are going to have our next steering committee meeting for South Stoner neighborhood plan on December 11th at 5:30. And then December 18th will be South Stoner neighborhood plan open house. Then we'll be looking to schedule our open house for Greenfield in early January. So those dates are coming up. The 18th for South Stoner.
Can you send a reminders with all of these dates?
I
so we
can,
put
yeah.
it in our calendars?
Yes, I'm happy to put them in your calendars.
Oh, yeah. So, what about the RFP for the comp plan? What are your plans for that?
Staff is working on it. I don't have a particular date at this point, but we're working through the process.
So when is, year end, or now we are looking at 25 to send the RFP?
I will try to have something drafted by the year end.
Okay, thank you. Any question for Diana? No? Okay, so it's almost 10 o'clock. Thank you very much for your patience, and I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor to adjourn the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourning at 9:50. Thank you very much. Buenas noches.